Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ni hao, kale vanakkam. These are all the languages in Malaysia. You have to get at least three or four going to say good morning. So sometimes people would believe that we are so curt and courteous because of the languages we use just to say good morning. It's much easier in the US, right? You just say good morning and we start. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. We are, of course, live with our wonderful conference, Education and Parenting Online, and with specific theme today. But we have we have two distinguished speakers from the United States of America. One is the director for Asia Pacific programs in Perkins International from Perkins Schools, United States of America, from Boston. I dare not take more time because I risk the wrath of the participants by putting me instead of you doing the speaking, doing the telling, doing the sharing. Thus, without further delay, we thank Kids of Our Future for organizing this event, of course, and with great support from City University Malaysia. But Debbie, Amy, the platform is yours. Tell us a bit about yourself and what are we going to get out of this wonderful session.
Thank you very much. I'm Debbie Gleason. I'm the Director of Asia and Pacific Programs at Perkins International of Perkins School for the Blind. And I'm really pleased to be joined by my colleague, Ms. Ami Tango, who is the Assistant Director for Asia and Pacific region at Perkins School for the Blind. So I will try to set up my screen share and we will get started.
Okay. Fantastic. We can see your screen now.
Okay, are you all set? You can see the screen okay now? Great.
Yes,
Well,
perfect.
good.
Yeah, you guys
Good
look
morning.
fantastic. Screen also fantastic. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My colleague Ami Tango and I are so honored to join you today to talk about the future of children with special needs, a community project. And what this means to us is resilient children, families, and educators, creating a future in which all children thrive in inclusive communities. We'd like to share some examples with you of what this actually looks like in practice from our work around the world. This is Yusuf, who is now a bright 20-year-old young man with visual impairment and cerebral palsy. Until a few years ago, he spent much of his day in bed. When he was a young child, Yusuf was found abandoned in a graveyard in filthy conditions, unable to speak or move. A government agency brought him to Sayap Ibu program. The staff cared for Yusuf in the only way they knew how at the time, keeping him clean and fed and safe, and he spent most of his days laying down. About 6 years ago, Perkins began a partnership with Sayap Ibu, through which we provided intensive hands-on technical skills training to the staff. And the staff began to see the possibilities for Yusuf, far beyond simply being a passive recipient of care. Yusuf began to participate in meaningful activities. He learned to use technology to communicate and surf the internet, and to move independently in his electric wheelchair. He also enjoys spending time with friends and cooking. Yusuf started and now runs his own business as a doorship agent, which is part of the popular online shopping industry in Indonesia, in which Yusuf provides support to local community members to place online orders for people who are unable to do so on their own. In addition to empowering Yusuf, this has also changed community perceptions of individuals with complex multiple disabilities. And it has transformed the Sayap Ibu program for all of the children they serve. Excuse me. Now, caretakers who previously thought their primary job was to keep the children clean, fed, and safe are seeing the possibilities for all children. And Yusuf is a valued and active participant in his community. Every child can learn. This is the foundation of all of our Perkins work. Our focus is children with complex, multiple disabilities, including visual impairment and deafblindness, some of the most vulnerable children who are most often left behind. Our vision is a world where every child learns and thrives as a valued member of their family, school, and community. We meet children where they are, wherever that is: home, community outreach, school, early childhood, or residential setting. Our comprehensive approach always begins with the child at the center. Excuse me. Moving on to the adults who support children and the systems that make education accessible. Perkins International has worked in 97 countries. I'll share a glimpse of our global impact last year and our overall approach. We support children to learn. For a child with multiple disabilities, excuse me, the journey to education may begin at home, in an orphanage, in a hospital, in a community program, or at school. Perkins starts where children are, so that no child is invisible or excluded. Around the world, we met over 750,000 children on their learning journey this past year. We equip adults to teach. For 100 years, Perkins has been training leaders and educators who change the world for children in almost 100 countries. We provide a wide range of opportunities for professionals and family members to learn how to help children unlock opportunities. Over 55,000 adults participated in Perkins trainings and activities last year. Excuse me. And we work to make education accessible. For a child with multiple disabilities, excuse me, to learn and thrive, families, schools, hospitals, communities, and governments must all work together. Perkins sets the standards and builds the networks that sustain and strengthen teaching, learning, and community life. 112 programs around the world received Perkins technical support last year. As children, families, and teachers have faced the challenges of a global pandemic and lengthy school closures, we find that resilient families and educators are better prepared to empower and support learners with multiple disabilities to thrive in inclusive communities, despite global challenges. This begins with a belief in the positive, excuse me. This begins with the belief in the positive possibilities for every child. Quality, accessible educational services contribute to bringing these possibilities to fruition. And there are many faces of resilience of families, educators, and children, which are enabling children to learn and thrive in inclusive and supportive communities. We'll share a few of their stories to help show you what this actually looks like in practice. Belief and possibilities for every child. This is a positive futures dream map developed with Tenzin and his family. Tenzin had struggled to make it through each class at school, and while his learning difficulties held him back, his art skills, obvious intelligence, and warm and caring nature could so easily give him the future he desired, if only someone could place him on that path. Strong advocacy and a sensible, positive, future-oriented program designed by his school team in Bhutan and Perkins Consultants resulted in Tenzin completing the school program and being accepted into the traditional arts school. Now he works steadily towards his next dream, to earn enough money to buy things for his family, take his father for a pilgrimage, and build his family a home. Perkins is collaborating with FENSUM, a Bhutanese parent organization. Perkins provides technical support to train parents of learners with disabilities in a positive futures planning approach. We then provide follow-up mentoring to these parent leaders as they support other families and educational teams to develop future dreams maps and concrete plans to move systematically towards empowering children and youth with disabilities to reach their dreams. We guide families and children of all ages, beginning with young children, to develop these dream maps and envision a positive future for their child. Quality, accessible education helps bring these dreams to fruition. One of the opportunities during this pandemic has been the necessity to develop creative and innovative ways to support children by surrounding children with learning opportunities in their families and communities. So for the purposes of this presentation, we're broadly defining who are the teachers of our children. They may be teachers, families, parents, siblings, grandparents, extended families, community workers, such as community-based inclusive development workers, or early childhood staff and caregivers, community members. This is how our children learn in the community surrounding each child. Children also thrive with supportive and resilient siblings. Sneha is a cheerful and active 7-year-old girl who has visual impairment with multiple disabilities. She was initially identified through a door-to-door screening in India. Over the past year, the most significant progress for her family is that Sneha can now stand and has started walking with a walker near her home. Her brother's encouragement has played a key role in this accomplishment. As the photo on the left illustrates, Sneha's brother encourages her to walk by giving her a piece of potato chip, her favorite snack. Her brother has been her companion, her guide, and her teacher in many ways throughout this journey. And Sneha enjoys being with her brother and cooperates him for each and every activity. As illustrated in the photo on the right, her brother carefully observes Sneha's lessons with her teacher, and he later follows up on these lessons with Sneha. Her brother motivates her to walk using the walker and encourages her to learn skills such as communicating and interacting with other children in the neighborhood. Her mother says both the siblings have beautiful bonding. Her brother is always willing to help her. He observes the activities performed by her teacher, and he helps Sneha practice the same at home. Quality, accessible education is also enhanced when educators keep up to date on best practices and current research. Currently in the United States, cortical visual impairment, or CVI, is the leading cause of visual impairment in children, and over half of the children enrolled at Perkins have CVI today. I want to share this valuable resource, cvi.org cvinow.org website, which has a wealth of information for both parents and professionals. Quality education also includes true partnership between teachers and parents. There are so many examples of parents supporting parents, teachers supporting teachers, and partnerships supporting parents and teachers together in order to support children. One of the virtual trainings we did for teachers during the pandemic was on designing and building adaptive equipment for their students. Sulis, a very creative and committed teacher at one of our partner programs in Indonesia, really listened to the families of her students to learn what challenges they were facing with their children at home during the pandemic. One of her students, Arif, could not use the traditional squat toilet at home by himself. This was very difficult for both Arif and his mother, who had to hold him standing in order for him to use the toilet. You'll see in this video how Sulis worked with Arif's family to develop a solution to everyone's delight. Empowerment comes in many forms. For Arif and his mom, empowerment is Arif being able to use the toilet by himself.
Ibnu mo to. Kaigangin nga bisa. Jongkok. Jadi berdiri.
Kagini, kagini. Ay, buya, dia.
Iya.
And now we'll move on to the third section about resilient families and educators. And I will pass over to Ami.
Hello, thank you, Debbie. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Just like what Debbie said, what we have all gone through over the past 3 years since the beginning of the pandemic has been a profound loss for many of us. We notice a significant loss of learning for many children during these critical years of their development. But yet, despite that, we've been through and going through, we see an incredible amount of resilience in the children that we serve, their families, and all the community supporters who helped and are still helping during these times. Next slide. I want to share with you a story about Al. Al is a wonderful 6-year-old boy who, before the pandemic, could go to school every day and be with his teachers and friends. He enjoys school and looks forward to it each day. But ever since the lockdown, Al stayed home with his mother. He did not get his usual exercise of walking to school and playing with his friends. In a few months, Al started to lose his ability to walk. With this, he lost his ability to be independent in a lot of his self-care. Al started to become easily frustrated, and his challenging behavior started to show. It was difficult for his mother to control him when he had his temper tantrums. With all the other challenges his mom was facing during the pandemic, she's at a loss of what to do with her son. So no one knows and understands her situation. This is one story of Al, but it applies to hundreds and thousands of children and their families. Next slide. I think it's fair to say that many people's life got disrupted by this pandemic. Let's take a look at how the pandemic has affected the lives of the families of the children with disabilities. During this pandemic, these children are home all day without intervention and support. Many of them have lost their routines. They got bored and irritated. And then on top of that, parents started to experience a constant fear for the loss of their finances and also loss of their relationship with their spouse. or their friend, and family members can start to feel isolated. The struggles of raising a child with disability has always been real, but this time it seemed to be amplified. Next slide. Debbie and I are very privileged today to introduce to you Perkins International's long-term partner in the Philippines. They're called PAVIC. PAVIC stands for Parent Advocates for Visually Impaired Children. They are a group of about 15 to 20 very active parent leaders who reach out and recruit other parents of children with visual impairment. And now they have reached over 600 members all around the country. Yes. Together as partners, their mission is very simple. It is to help each other become better parents for all children with visual impairment. And they would do whatever it takes to accomplish that. Next slide. I'm excited to share with you some of the activities that the parents are doing since the pandemic started. First, we have weekly support group sessions where parents of children from different age groups log on every Fridays to meet each other online. They share parenting tips, ask questions, share happy moments, as well as difficult moments. Another activity is that parents build their self-confidence and self-efficacy skills by transferring their knowledge to other parents. They deliver free training in Braille or Abacus to allow other parents to be actively involved in their child's learning at home. These parents also spend time to bring together the community, like to bring together community leaders, leaders in schools, local governments, professionals, and parents to just listen to each other and find solutions together. These parents nurture each other. You will see in the middle screen, parents celebrating a holiday together with dancing contests, children's talent shows, and many fun games. You can see from the photo on the right is a son who is blind and his dad who is working out inside their home. In front of them is a small electronic device. And on the other side is a coach, is a live coach. And this dad and the child is following the class. Other families are also on their electronic devices, joining and doing the same exercise. This is a great way for families to feel connected with each other, even if they are apart. Another activity that is keeping all these parents so busy right now is that they're hosting another family adventure camp. It's an amazing gathering of children with disabilities and their parents to support each other and have fun with each other in nature and fitness activities. PAVIC, in partnership with the university hospital, asked to have parents have free tele-rehabilitation therapy services for children. So during the pandemic, children can continue to receive OT, PT, speech therapy for free. This allows parents to learn new ways to keep their children active and learning so that they don't lose their skills, even when the children are at home. There are many beautiful stories and outcomes from these children, but I will highlight 3 today. One outcome is that parents learn that it's never too early nor too late to teach their child. From the parent support group, parents feel more confident that they can teach their child academic skills as well as daily living skills. Second, because the children are home a lot more, the support that the parents get from each other teach them to find more moments of joy when they are spending time with their child with disabilities. The children become more engaged in functional and meaningful activities at home with their parents, grandparents, siblings, cousins. Instead of just waiting by themselves, waiting for their mom to cook their meals, In this first photo on the left, you'll see Al, the boy I was talking about earlier. He's now participating in cooking and separating the leaves from the stem of the vegetables that they're having that night. He's getting his home therapy while having fun and being useful. Al's mom is feeling a lot more supported and hopeful for a brighter future for Al. Next slide. The third outcome is that parents believe in their child's power. They get to know their child better and appreciate them. When parents believe that their child can learn, they are naturally empowered to advocate for their child's inclusion in the community and get the support that they know is right for them. This photo that you see is a blind boy jumping into the lake for the first time, feeling so brave and so empowered to enjoy his youth and embrace his experience. It's amazing. Empowerment and social inclusion takes many forms. Some of the teenagers who have started to enjoy extreme sports. You can see Angel in this photo on the top of the bars and a community of sports coaches supporting her. In past March, these teenagers participated in Asia's high altitude obstacle course race. These are 7 blind athletes qualified to be the first athletes to do a high altitude obstacle course race in Mount Kilimanjaro next year in 2023. We are encouraging more and more parent groups to grow. Some of the PAVIC parents have helped form parent groups in other parts of the country, in the Philippines, but they've also reached out to help the families in Bhutan and also in Indonesia. Their inspiration has continued to grow. Last year in Indonesia, parents organized a 5K baby toddler walk. For many of these children, this was their motivation to get up and begin moving, to go outside. Some children actually began to walk with support for the first time during this 5K. Just through Perkins' collaboration with PAVIC in the Philippines, Academy in Indonesia, they hosted a webinar for Indonesian parents on behavior management of children with visual impairment. This partnership brought parents together from 2 countries and fostered the exchange of experiences and advice. It's very powerful how they are connecting with each other. As many of you know, getting people together and forming a group is easy, but keeping people together is not. So before I end, I want to share some recommendations on how you can help and maintain parent support groups. This is just from all our learning through the years of being together, and some recommendations are from the parent leaders themselves. So our first recommendation is the group has to have a clear mission or purpose for being together. Everyone should share this mission. This mission must be written out and said many times to build the spirit of this community. Number 2, start from a place of strength and from what is available. So instead of planning huge activities that require much resources, make an inventory of what you have. Use internal resources. So for example, if Daddy Leo is a nutritionist in a local clinic, you can invite him to share his knowledge about proper nutrition for other families instead of hiring someone from outside. And the third advice, stay in the solution frame. People and parents often come exhausted and they have difficulties with their kids, and sometimes conversations can be very heavy. The facilitator of parent groups need to know how to balance a time of when parents can share their burdens, but also to keep the group in a positive mindset. The fourth one is understanding that parents are busy people. When you find a meeting time, you find a regular time that works for parents. Perhaps almost for most parents, it's after they put their children to bed. The fifth one, parents come from different walks of lives, different financial status, different educational backgrounds, male, female, etc. But as a leader, you need to make it loud and very clear to them to let them know that they belong to this group and that it is made especially for them. The last one is to make alliance with others. You need to build your network of people. You need to collaborate with your child's teachers, your school leaders, your government leaders, your health professionals, community health workers, neighbors, co-parents, relatives, family members, church friends, everyone who can support you and your child. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to support a family. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I feel like, guys, listening to both of you for half an hour. It's like I've grown in age. I've grown in age. I believe you guys have been around for over a century, I now know why. I now know why. You are so warm, so loving, so engaging. I guess that would be the main ingredient, yeah? So thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you very much, Amy. Even through online platform, I can feel you. I could feel you. But we got here quite a few questions coming. Number one, all these wonderful activities. Is it publicly available? Can anyone join, or do you have to be a member or something in order to partake in these wonderful, wonderful activities that you have organized?
Go ahead, Ami.
Go ahead, Debbie.
The activities are, these are activities that are part of our Perkins work that we're doing around the world. So with any of the programs we're working with, anyone can join in. We also have many resources available online. If you go to the perkinsglobalcommunity.org/Asia, you'll find a good number of resources, and you're always welcome to contact Ami or I.
Thank you, Debbie.
There's all of our, we work with partners all over the world, and we work with children wherever they are. We work with families and teachers wherever they are.
Do we have the same kind of movement organization in Malaysia?
We have done some work in Malaysia. We're not currently working in Malaysia. We have worked in Malaysia in the past. We do collaborate closely with Semio Sen, which is based in Malaysia, in terms of doing trainings, in terms of education of children with multiple disabilities.
Debbie, Amy, I'm very sure a lot of participants are feeling this, and then the question would be, how could someone like me get involved? What do we need to do? Could we volunteer? Do something, because I can really see myself doing it. I'm very sure the participants are feeling the same thing too. How can we get involved?
Yeah, I would say you can email Ami and I.
Okay.
We can work
All right. Yeah, because I don't know. You have all the experience, the know-how. We probably have the energy, and some of us hopefully have the money. But it would be great with your guidance to do this. Yeah, and then we have one more here. Classic question. Yeah, are there like simple tips that parents with either any form of disabilities, 2 or 3 tips that they could just do tomorrow and perhaps improve a wee bit in terms of the situation that the child is facing? Because everybody's looking for a quick fix, let's give them the quick fix too, and then let's join and partake in the program.
Wait, let me take a quick stab
You
at this.
took a
The
quick
first
stab,
thing I
yes.
think, if you're a parent and you have a child who has many challenges and you don't know where to start, I would always start to really just get to know your child a little bit more by spending a little bit more time with them, and to focus on learning about what they really enjoy, what they like, what are their strengths, what do they like to do. And you can always use that to either motivate them or just engage them and join them in what they like to do. We have this child who used to just really like stirring water. She's just like stirring. She likes stirring all the time. And this mom is just like, and one of our advice to her before, and she was saying, I don't know what to do with my child. She only likes to play with water. There's nothing else she does, And when we said, oh my gosh, that's something that you can start off, stir with her, mix stuff with her. And right now they have this booming business of making liquid soap and colognes, because then and she loves it. Her daughter is totally engaged in the business because she just loves, that's become her life. She's been stirring stuff, and that became part. As she grew up, her mom started to engage her in a little bit more activities that are all related to her love for water and stirring, and that became like where it all started for them.
Yeah. I mean, Debbie, my daughter, her first aim, my youngest now is 17, she's 17 now. Her aim was to be a water doctor because she loves just making drinks.
Yes, there you go.
Got me. But I guess that's the answer for all parents, children with disabilities or whatever special needs, or those whom we perceive not needing to be cared for. But we need to give them time and understand them we will be better, and then have what you guys have, the warmth, the willingness, the love. And I'm pretty sure the first step forward will be quite comfortable, and then there'll be a lot of people quite willing to join us for the next step onwards. So I'm going to go to Debbie first. Debbie, is there any final sharing that we'd like to share with this? We have here so far today 651 wonderful souls waiting for your final advice, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you all so much for inviting Ami and I to join you today. And I say, your children are wonderful. They're every child can learn, and just believing in the possibilities for every single child, and then taking systematically step by step to get to your dreams. But every child is wonderful, and every child can learn. We're happy to share a few of the stories of some of the children that Ami and I have been working with over the years with you, and certainly you're welcome to write to us. We do quite a lot of trainings with Perkins, and there's many different ways to partner with Perkins in terms of
Thank you,
support
Debbie.
for children and
You'll
families.
definitely will get an email from Kids Our Future. But let's go to Amy. Your final note, Amy.
To me, my final note is to connect, to reach out, to not stay at home and be by yourself, to reach out to a friend, to surround yourself with supporters, with families, members, with other parents who have children who understand your situation and could give you some solutions and some ideas, and do some fun activities together. I think that would be the first thing you would do. Reach out to others.
Ladies, it's not feeling like you are from Perkins School for the Blind, or I feel like, or friends, I feel like, I have like in half an hour, I feel like, I got here sisters from America who will be willing to support me, if the target is clear. So that's how much warm we felt. And thank you very, very much again for opening the session. This is our second week because it's a 3-week event. We had our first one last week at City University's auditorium, and today we're having it in Putrajaya, our central for management in Malaysia for the country. But then again, a fantastic start. Thank you very, very much. I'm very sure even once you have left the platform, the warmth and love will still be there, and the next presenters will feel, and we keep going having this kind of thing. Thank you so much, and bet you'll get emails from us definitely. So, ladies and gentlemen, participants, though they can't hear it, but I can show it to them. Thank you so much for wonderful stories, wonderful sharing, and willingness to be with us on Saturday morning or evening in United States of America, Boston. Thank you again. Debbie. Thank you again, Ami. So hopefully we'll be close friends, if not brothers and sisters, soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having us.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we just had our wonderful speakers from Perkins. Well, what can I say? They just touch me so much. Makes me, like to want to volunteer tomorrow to help in whatever manner possible. But then again, I'm very sure the next speaker will also inspire us to do more for children with special needs, our theme today, and also for children, our future, of course, whatever situations they are in, because at times if we do not really spend time with them, like what Amy said just now, what Debbie shared just now, then maybe we are willing to put in the hard work, but the hard work is not really guided with the right models and framework. So our next speaker will be joining us pretty soon. If you need to go anywhere, don't go that long, because the next speaker, of course, will be another dynamic speaker explaining all experience, all framework, all model to help us get the next step going. And by being with us, the next step going, the following steps, there will be my people supporting you too. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Dato. Are you with us?
Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, Dato. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
I need to learn this very important secret from you. You seem to be growing younger. What's the secret? MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. Well, working with children and enjoying life, I think, to a
Yes,
certain
yes.
extent. Well, I am supposed to be at the museum for something, but I've come to my son's house, so I'm doing this from there.
Sorry, Saiful, can you the change the
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I just followed earlier on the previous speaker talking about, maybe parents want to find a quick fix. But
Dato,
yeah.
let me introduce you first,
Okay,
Dato.
okay.
We were so mesmerized by your youthful and energized self, Ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to introduce, there's no need to say much. She's, of course, I cannot even say legendary, because your legend is still growing. So it's a growing legend, so to say. Yeah? Dato Freida Pilus, founder of Cempaka School, educator for so many decades. But unfortunately, we cannot see any of the decades on her. She looks like just started teaching 3 years ago, but nonetheless, she's full of experience, full of sharing, and like a good educator, immediately focusing on the previous issue before going on with what she wants to share. I'm going to take any more of your time, Dato. You have a lot to share with us. Go ahead, Dato. Thank you very much for joining us for our second installation of this conference with Kids Our Future, and of course City University, our wonderful support in organizing this wonderful event. Thank you, Dato.
Thank you very much, Saiful, and thank you for having me. Well, I've been in education for many years, and our school will be 40 years next year. So I've got a lot of experience. I may not be an expert, but I think there's nobody who's an expert in education, because it is a lifelong kind of learning journey. It's a wondrous journey if you really take care in making learning as part of your love for learning, actually. And just now, previously, I think they were talking about a quick fix for things. And I suppose this is like modern age people nowadays, everything must be fast, quick, short, and sharp, But life is not like that. It is a very long journey full of exclamation marks, question marks, commas, semicolons. It's never a full stop. And it's always going on, And I think talking from the point of view as an educator, for many years I've seen this. Earlier, much earlier in 1983, when I started the school, there were very little knowledge or awareness about special needs children. But again, when we talk about special needs, but actually I would like to think all of us need something. We're all special, we're all extraordinary. So we cannot label children or anybody, because actually anything can happen to us. I've got a friend whose son was okay, but after a while he met an accident at reasonably, I think an adult, young adult, and something happened, and then he's got to learn again, to learn to speak, to do all sorts of things. People have gone through a stroke, for instance, So therefore, we should not look at labels. We should not say, oh, there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. It's just that we have to find the key to this wonderful treasure of life, And I think parents who go through this, parents or grandparents, going through what we say, special needs children or whatever it is, I think you're not the only one. There are many, many people going through all sorts of challenges in life. So I think you need to seek out people who may have similar, who may not have similar, because no two persons are the same, but people going through challenges, and be supportive. You support them, they support you, belong to a group, look for these people. But I think the most important thing is, now we are very, very lucky, with the internet, with Mr. Google, you can Google anything at all. You can learn about anything at all. But you must remember, Mr. Google tells you everything, but you have got to find out, is he telling me the right thing, or are there other people telling me something else? So you have to be selective in the knowledge, information that you get, and think for yourself, And also, I must say that we are not superheroes. We are not, we are not right all the time. Because I think knowledge is, like I said, is an ongoing thing. It's not a full stop. More and more research is being done in the world. So it's very good to get to know from the experts, get to know from books, and so on and so forth. But Cik Saiful, who's the expert here? It's not those people who will tell you about all this theory and that theory and so on and so forth. Yes, they have done research and they found certain things, that will give you like a guideline. But I think the real experts would be the parents, would be you, you, because you're with your child all the time, not even in school. The people in school can tell you what happens in school, but you are with your child all the time. So your child actually, I would say, you don't need a manual. The child doesn't need a manual for you to look after him. The child needs a fantastic mother, need a fantastic father, need a loving environment, then it's okay. Life goes on and we enjoy every little blessings that we have. Syukur, alhamdulillah. And we learn. And sometimes parents, don't beat yourself, don't, tear your hair out and be so mournful and say, oh my God, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. No, you must not do that, because it's not going to change things if you do that. But try to understand the situation, try to mitigate whatever extreme situation it is, and love, care, have compassion, understanding, and that sort of thing. You're not perfect. And sometimes you need to look after yourself as well, So I think in a family, parents, father, mother must be very supportive of each other. Unfortunately, sometimes when it gets so tough, maaf lah if I'm going to say this, but sometimes fathers would leave it to the mothers, And I think that is so nice, because I think you must have a true partnership, share. And sometimes your wife might need time for her me time, So maybe you should do that, give her some time for herself and that sort of thing. So I think it's okay. Get your home therapy background. For them, the therapy is play. Play is also therapy, It one morphs into the other. You cannot say, oh, this one is therapy, I must do this. Then after that, let go. Never mind. No. It one morphs into the other. You actually build a learning environment, a wonderful, enjoyable learning environment. And you must, embrace the little wonders that you have, the little blessings, you must celebrate that. Good job, you tell this little boy or girl, give a cuddle maybe. He may not want a cuddle, but it doesn't matter. Find out what he likes. Maybe he likes to, maybe if you clap, maybe give a smile, maybe, or whatever that make him tick, So learn that, and celebrate that. And also I think never compare. Never compare your
Dato,
child. Yeah.
I got a message, someone from the management texting me saying that, I forgot to introduce your topic, but then again, we don't need to write, because the way you're explaining it, we figured it out already, The children's wonderful, but we need to find all the little wonders with them. If you look for trouble you will get, right, Dato, right? Please continue, Dato. Please continue.
And sorry. The problem is when I start talking, you cannot stop me. Well, like I said, never compare with other children or compare the siblings of the child. You can't compare. You look at yourself. You don't want you yourself to compare with other people, So I think you must look at the unique thing about a child, the extraordinary thing about a child. And I tell you, we have our, our strengths and our weaknesses, even if you think that, oh, we are not special needs. But I feel that research has been done, and you can read about this, that some of these children are really extraordinary children, but they need the support, they need the love, they need the compassion, they need the understanding. So this is where you need to read up, seek other parents, find from the expertise, and so on and so forth. Trust your own instinct, because you're with your child all the time, So, like I said, who's the expert here? You are the expert, because you're with the child all the time, and you will know what makes him happy, what makes him not happy, what makes him do more or less, and so on and so forth. And I feel that sometimes we have a certain benchmark, and we want everybody to be up to that benchmark. Now, come on, even our benchmark actually is not a benchmark. Like I said, it moves. Like me, at my age, as I go on in life, there are other things that I want to venture into. There are other things I feel I need to do, and so on and so forth. So anybody at all, any child, anybody at all goes through the same thing. It's just that we think that, well, children with certain special needs need more care, more understanding, so that we can help the child to grow up happy. That's important, to grow up happy, So I think if you are like you yourself so stressed out, that's bad for the child, I think, you know. You hardly smile at the child. So how do you expect the child to be happy, or the environment to be a happy environment? Enjoy a child, whatever it is.
Dato, you've been in the education line for
40 years.
40 years. So could you just share with us a bit about your experience whereby the problem seems so big, you know, but you
Yes.
see some of your teachers, they would just have a few small moves, a few small steps, and problems sort of disappear. So
Yes, I think, you know, I started the school in 1983, a long time ago, for my own sons. I have 5 sons for my children. And you know, I've never been a teacher or anything like that. Just a mother, you know, who's so keen on giving the best to her children. And along the way, of course, I learn, I read, and I seek out knowledge and so on. But what is very important is the experience. So as we go along, as I went along this wondrous journey of education, what I find is very, very important, you know, like in a school, your leadership and the ethos of the school must be aligned with a shared mission and vision. So your teachers must also be aligned to your own vision, your own mission, and therefore we can do things together. And as you know, education evolves. It cannot be static. It must move. When we talk about best practices, actually there is no such thing to me as best practices, because it moves all the time. It could have been best a long time ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but now it's not the best. Then you think, is it going to be best next year, next 5 years, next 10 years? No, you need to grow in that environment, because you see, the environment is different, people are different, you know, economic development of a country is different, and therefore you're trying to teach these children or to educate the children to grow in that landscape, you know. And I think after the pandemic, especially, we got to look at learners in a different manner, because last time, you know, physical education, you know, where they go to school and the teacher tell them this, do that. But with the pandemic, we have realized that that's not the way to go anymore. And we cannot go back like before, you know. Now, what we need to do is to teach children, and even us, the value of the love of learning, lifelong learning. And when people talk about lifelong learning, they think that, oh, bila dah tua pun nak belajar, you know. So they say, oh, you are very good, Frida. You really practice lifelong learning. At your age, you're still learning. And I say, hello, lifelong learning means when you start life, it's when you're in the womb, you start learning. And it goes on until the last good night, you know. So I think that's very important to embrace. And this is very important to inculcate in the students. It is not about accumulating information anymore, not accumulating knowledge anymore, but to seek knowledge, to seek the truth. Because even then, as I feel, things may not be the truth in 5 years' time, because things change. With more research, things become different and so on and so forth, right? So like even a disease, you know, last time they say you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that because it's bad for your heart. And now they say, oh, you should eat this, you should eat that because it's good for your heart, because of research. Research is going on all the time, you know. So I think we should learn all the time. We should seek knowledge all the time. And if we bring up children and ourselves to be independent learners, we can survive this world.
yeah, because the previous speakers, they're from the Perkins School for the Blind, you know, they have so many stories, so many good programs. But unfortunately, you know, I've never heard of them. So it's like, hey, how come I had to do read up on them? You know, how come we don't, are we not supportive of that kind of movements in Malaysia, or simply because we are lacking information? You know, it's like, what can we do? Because those are good programs, tapi kita tak ada, we don't have it, right?
And also, I think Some programs we do it, but it must always be in the context of our own environment and landscape. You cannot adopt 100%, you need to adapt maybe, because you see, we have our own culture and traditions. Now, in Europe now and in America, you know, they have gone into inclusive education. That means children, whatever, like you see the blind or the deaf, you know, with some disability, they are in mainstream education environment, mainstream schools, where children learn to support one another. And this is very important, because you see, we learn things differently. And we think, oh, the blind, like for instance, let's look at this, you know. In Malaysia, we think we want to support the blind, right? We want to help them across the road because we think they're handicapped. But actually in Europe, in many places, no, they don't consider themselves handicapped. They're just different. And most probably they have certain strength that people who are sighted don't have it, you know? So even blind children can be naughty actually, you know? So you need to, I think, must not treat them like a handicapped person, you know? It's just that they're different. So you put them in mainstream education, mainstream classes, and you become sportive. Like for instance, if children who are blind in a school, in a class, they use Braille, the teacher also must know about Braille, you know, must learn about Braille, and maybe do more audio work and so on and so forth. So I read somewhere in this school, teaching the children about plants, you know. So they started teaching the children. These are very small children, 4 or 5-year-old children, primary school children, about plants. So you start with plants. You know, they started with seeds. You told the children to bring fruits to school and then pick out the seeds. Now they're blind children. They can actually feel the seeds. They can feel the seeds. They can shake the seeds like rubber seeds. You know, you can hear something from the seeds, right? But if you're sighted, you don't even think of feeling the seeds. You don't even think of hearing the seeds, right? You don't even think of smelling the seeds. You just look at the seeds. Now, they can categorize the seeds differently from you. You know, they look at the touch, they smell, they hear. They use all their 5 senses. So there you are. Who is an enriched learner? The blind person or the sighted person? I would think it's the blind person.
I would think your main takeaway there, Dato, you know, we just cannot have that kind of category anymore. And the way we look at things, we don't want to help them to cross the street. We want them to own the street, have business on the street. What can we do to get them to have the abilities and support?
Yes, right.
That's what you're saying, Dato, right?
Yes. So therefore, then, you know, like in some countries, you know, the crossing, you know, they have the sound of the seconds that they cross the road, for instance, you know, and then on some walls, lift in your wall, you know, they have this Braille, you know. So we have to think of that sort of thing to help, you know, because can you imagine tomorrow I might get into an accident, I might go blind, right? So I need all these things to help me. So we are all very special. We are, well, to me, I feel that we must embrace life, you know. Yes. And whatever we can do to help, we do this. And we learn. We learn from the blind person as well, you know. And I saw the other day a show where this girl is deaf. Anyway, you're deaf, you cannot hear, right? But she was a fantastic singer. So how did she get the rhythm? And she said she could feel the rhythm from the floor. How the drums are beating, the beat, you know, from the floor. As she stood up, she had to take off her shoes to actually feel it on the floor. And that's how she sang. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? So therefore, there you see, these are the little miracles that we should say, voila, hallelujah, you know, embrace this and be happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, because you are so chirpy, so energetic, you know, we have to tell our audience, we have to work long and hard, and have an open mind, always positive, looking at all possible angles so that we'll keep finding all the gems, all the wonderful gems with our children. Then we'll create the right environment.
Yes, because I think we not only, I feel that I like to look at things from a life perspective, because who knows, one day I might get a stroke and I need to relearn a lot of things.
Dato, so many people are praying for you not to have all those kind of things, because I got so many here, you know, other than question, they're saying, she's my mentor, she's my idol, she was with me so long, so we're going to have a big hand later on, you know,
Oh, thank you.
to Dato Freida Pilus for, you know, extremely busy, of course, moving all the time, but yet still finding, this is like we had our first session on Facebook Live, and yet you are still willing to come and support this wonderful conference that we have. So Dato, we have some questions coming in, but because bila jawab tu nanti might take a wee bit long, why don't you give your final advice first to all parents, whether they have children with different needs or they have children with special needs, but we all know children have needs. So what should a good parent do?
Yes, I think very important. I mean, we should also learn from the experts in the sense that, you know, if you find there's something amiss, or you find you're not sure, you know, maybe your school may have people who are experienced in identifying children who have some issues, you know. But first of all, you have to have your child assessed. That's very important. But once the child is assessed and the therapists tell you to do certain things, you yourself must go beyond that, you know, read up, learn, seek out other people with the same problems or challenges, and just embrace it, you know, just be the expert with the love that you have. You know, like I said, there is no real manual, because there is no two child are the same, no two children are the same. We're all different, really, you know. So grow with it, you know. That's life. Never wallow in it, never be upset, never be, you know, like give up, you know, that sort of thing. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dato. No, mother with 5 sons. We have to agree. Yeah.
And 7 grandchildren.
And 7 grandchildren. I'm starting the journey, Dato. Next year, my daughter is getting married, so I'm getting there. I think I'm going to have to learn from you. Learn from you. So again, Dato, thank you very, very much for your willingness to share and support this conference organized by Kids Our Future and our wonderful partner, we can call brother, sister too, you know, from City University. This is, of course, the second week that we're having this wonderful conference. We started this morning with Deborah and Ami from Boston, Perkins University for the Blind. And then, of course, we have just listened to wonderful, ever youthful Dato Freida Pilus, founder of Cempaka School. Thank you very, very much. So hopefully, Dato, this will not be the end of our relationship. It's budding. We'll be, of course, be in more contact to listen to more to you and get more views through your experience in education. So thank you very, very much, Dato.
Thank you very much, Saiful, for having me.
No. We have to thank you for your willingness to be with us. So thank you, Dato. Hopefully, I think we have another session to wrap up our seminar for today in a wee bit while. So now we take a short break and then to check whether the next speaker is ready to be with us and share his wonderful thoughts too, and add more to our arsenal of knowledge in managing all issues pertaining to children. And for our team this week with special needs. Thank you again, Dato. I'll see you.
All the best to everybody. So bye-bye.
See you in a while, Dato. Assalamualaikum. Give my salam to your sons and your grandchildren too.
Thank you. Bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a minute's break to check on the technical situation. Hopefully everything is okay. We are doing good time. So in a minute or two, we will start with the third speaker of the day, a wonderful, wonderful professor. I'll introduce you the name once we are ready to start the next session. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Waalaikumsalam. Cik
Alhamdulillah.
Saiful. Aduh, penat ni tapi pasal apa ni? Apa ni? To make sure your program saya apa ni kuatkan juga. Penat ni.
Yeah, but you look good. You look good. You look like you can run half a marathon at least.
Thank you, Cik Saiful.
So thank you very, very much, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Prof. Khaerudin Sudharmin with us. He is, of course, an adjunct professor with Asia Metropolitan University and special advisor for CRIT International President. Alhamdulillah, of course, extremely busy but willing to help and support this good cause, because I think not many causes would warrant this kind of belief, would warrant this kind of effort, because it's our children. It's our children. So if we're not there for our children, Prof, then who will be there?
And they are our future, as is rightly mentioned.
Yes. And then, of course, conferences like this, too few, that people might, like I told the first two speakers, parents, quite a few are willing to work hard, Prof, but sometimes you don't have the models, you don't have people to talk to, so you don't have that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So rather than me explaining so much with the minute knowledge that I have, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Prof. Khaerudin Sudharmin, and he'll be sharing wonderful ways in managing, handling challenges that we will definitely face with children, special needs, different needs, and all sorts of needs too. Go ahead, Prof.
Thank you.
The platform is yours.
Thank you, Tuan Moderator, Saudara Saiful. Okay, I've been asked to speak on ways to handle children's challenging behaviors, but the theme of this convention is early childhood education, unleashing the real potential of our children. So in the next half an hour or so, I will start off by just sharing some latest, I think there are 3 books on unleashing the real potential of our children, quickly, okay? And then I move into how do you deal with challenging behavior? So there are so many different definitions all over the world. I've heard Dr. Freida today. But what I'll do is the first 5 minutes is to share my own take about parenting and how I grew up, because the world has changed, We live in a post-truth, fake news, dangerous world. Betul tak, Saiful? And with the internet, and just to share, during my time, I'm a baby boomer. I have 4 grandchildren, just like Dr. Freida has 8 just now. I have 4. So I watch my grandchildren. And I can see how they deal with life. And when I was small, I still remember my late father, when he sent me to the school, my father told the teacher, says, cikgu, this is my son. Cikgu buatlah apa yang patut. Whatever, as long as dia jadi orang. Cikgu nak pukul ke, cikgu nak rotan ke, doesn't matter. So long as, tak luka pipi, tangan tak patah, kaki tak patah, okay. And then in those days, I remember, I was just with my peers, who are still alive around. We had a chat recently. I said, yeah, you remember that when those days when we got caned in school, when we got home, we didn't tell our parents, we didn't tell our father we got caned, because if we got 1, he will tambah 3 more. That was those days in the years. And life was so much simpler. And
that days are good old days, Prof.
Yeah. So when I go out, when I was in standard 5, I remember I'll go out in the morning, took the bicycle, just tell my mother, and that's it. I leave the house in the morning and I come back later. The only thing she said was, balik sebelum maghrib. That's all. But today, you see how the world has changed. Today, if the child goes out, the parents, especially the mothers, will WhatsApp. Boy, girl, are you okay? And then a few minutes later, she will send another message. And if she didn't get, the mother didn't get the message from the children, straight away they panggil police. Boleh anak saya kena culik. So you see the difference then and now. and that affects what we talk about what you call being parenting today. It's really very challenging. And I know of one officer, without mentioning which ministry she's in, she just found a device there in the shop where she can put it in the bag of their children before going to school, and she can monitor it from the office. What? So when I was started, what? Oh my God! So you see the level of danger. But like I've said all the time, I said, the internet and all the technology that we're enjoying today, they are like the jungle, neutral. It's how you use them. So parents, it's how you use them to bring out the best in your children. You can, stifle them. You can even, kill their creativity, or you can nurture them to become very important, very influential people, not only to your people, to your nation, but to the world. So these are the options, available in front of parents today. Very challenging, but exciting. Okay, maybe I should, because if I start talking now, then I won't be able to finish. I have 200 slides, Saiful. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let me share my slides. Okay. How do I share my slides? Can I share my slide now? Okay.
Okay, they're coming.
Right.
Fantastic, yeah.
Okay, that's my slide. All right, let's quickly move on. Okay, early childhood education. Okay, that's me during the pandemic. So I look like Einstein there. Saiful. Okay, let's quickly. Now, I found this very interesting, which I thought I want to share with the parents. How to help children unleash their potential. The 3 new books illustrate what children really need from parents and educators. It was written by Diana. She's a social scientist herself. David, quite new, October, in 2016. Okay, she's a developmental psychologist, assistant clinical professor at Yale. Okay, now, today many parents and educators work vigilantly to guide children along the right path, hoping it will lead to a bright future. Adults naturally believe that they know just what that path should look like, often drawing on their own experience or colleagues' advice. Okay. But this top-down approach often leaves parents feeling pressured. I'm sure most parents I met, okay, educators struggling and stress and lagging behind their international peers. Just to go back to what I said before, today, parents go to the school, and then I heard one father went into the school and said, cikgu, nak bagi tahu. So sending the child to school, cikgu, anak saya ni tak boleh dikongkong. Can you imagine how stressful the teacher hears it when the parent comes there? They seem to be overprotective. But so I told the cikgu, I said, if I were the cikgu, you know what I would have told the parent? I said, Encik, macam ni lah Encik. Boleh tak saya cadangkan Encik bawa anak Encik balik aja kat rumah, and then Encik sendiri yang ajar? So I said, because kalau Encik hantar anak Encik ni atau kalau Encik banyak duit, you send your son or daughter to the international school. But may I remind you that the discipline at the international school is even worse than my discipline. That's what if I were the teacher to tell the children. So, and then I understand that today you cannot even cane, pukul budak even with the plastic, ruler to punish, because if the parents are lawyers, the mother is a lawyer, the father is a lawyer. Next day, the parent will come to the school and then will confront the teacher. Cikgu pukul anak saya dengan ruler plastic. So I hear all these kind of things. So it's really stressful for parents, stressful for teachers. And I also know a lot of school teachers who wants to leave teaching because of the pressure that they have to deal with. So all this is important for parents to understand. Okay. Now, 2 new books by developmental scientists work in tandem to rescue children from over-involved parenting and from outdated educational practices. Their guidance is refreshing and based on decades of solid cumulative evidence on how children really develop. Okay. Now, wanted parents as gardeners, not as carpenters. So this is what the book is. So the author is Alison Gopnik. She is an internationally recognized developmental scientist and the author of The Gardener and the Carpenter. What the new science of child development tells us about the relationship between parent and children. Today's parents were not raised with the experience of caring for young children, Gopnik said. And so they come to parenthood after extensive education and work and approach parenting. I think Dato Freida, although in a way, did also mention a little bit about this. And approach parenting like another subject to be mastered. get a book, take a course, and things will come out well. Parents, he said, believe that if they can just learn the right techniques and do the right things, the child will turn out the right way, well educated and prepared for success. Okay. Now, drawing on Hoong and other cognitive research, along with evolutionary theory and philosophy, Gopnik concludes that children were not meant to be molded in the ways parents are molding them today. Babies and young children should be raised in safe space, protected by adults, but they are wired to be explorers of information and their environment in order to become efficient and innovative in adulthood. They need their freedom protected and made safe in order to mess around. I like the word, in order to mess around. Now, babies and toddlers are keen observers of their world, actively and accurately interpreting what people and objects do and why they do it. Little scientists, if you may call it, okay? Preschoolers use words to investigate their world. One study found that preschoolers can ask 75 questions per hour, not as bids for attention, but to extract information from the adult around them. Mind you cannot answer the 75 questions. Through imaginative and pretend play, young children experiment with their understanding of people and of preparing them for engagement in their social world later. Okay, now Gopnik points out that the messy experimentation of early childhood, along with the intense motivation and taking risks in adulthood, is crucial for human species to innovate, evolve, and adapt to a changing environment. This implies that education and caregiving should encourage rather than constant, what they call, rather than, what's the word? Rather than constrained or exploration. In other words, we should seek ways to hammer and nail our children into a pre-designed shape, like a carpenter working on a piece of wood. Instead of, we should approach children like a gardener would a garden, providing a rich, stable, safe environment that allows many different kinds of flowers to bloom. So parents should be gardeners, not carpenters. Okay, most of us are like carpenters, right? You want to shape things, but no, you be a gardener, you nurture and you grow them. The resulting diversity of outcome is what allows children to prepare for a future that adults cannot yet see. Let me move on, okay. The Gardener and the Carpenter is a sophisticated read, not prescriptive how-to parent book, but it does allow a peek under the hood of how children develop and what they really need from the caring adults around them. The book charts a strong philosophical course from which specific actions and decisions naturally flow. It does falter somewhat, though, in its practical relevance to a world where parents are often pinched between their own desire to garden and the demand from schools to be carpenters. Here, another new book picks up the baton to offer. There's another book that picks up where this book left off. Okay, Transforming Schools into Garden. Okay, in Becoming Brilliant, What Science Tells Us. This is an interesting book to support the early book. Okay, okay. Robert Mickey Golinkoff and Kathy Hirsch-Pazek, scholars of education, psychology, and cognitive science, make a case for a transformation of education that aligns neatly with Gopnik's, the earlier book that we saw just now, okay, farmers, being farmers and not carpenters, of a thesis. Now, according to Golin and Pasek, our current content-driven approach to educating children is failing. Okay, students are made to be passive consumers of content or knowledge digesters, as if preparing for the world of 1953. Oh, that's my year. I was born in 54. Rather than becoming the knowledge transformers needed for an increasingly competitive global environment. Programs like No Child Left Behind and Common Core, with their focus on hard skills and the mastery of content, both very carpenter-like approaches to education, have failed children, and teaching has regressed to an emphasis on test preparation. The author said it, I didn't say it, okay? Children need the kind of education that prepares them to think, be creative, and innovate. Drawing on input from business leaders as well as the science of learning, Golinkoff and Pasek suggest 6 core competencies that will create the thinkers and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Remember, our children are the thinkers and entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Collaboration, communication, content, critical thinking, creativity, and most importantly, confidence. The author details how these skills build upon each other throughout the development, and they try to point out how each competency can be scaffolded, which is broken down into teachable components at different ages. However, that section of the book is left sufficiently big as to be of questionable help to naive parents. Of course, each book has got its plus point and its minus point. Okay, now, in Becoming Brilliant, okay, Robert, scholars of education, going to make a case for transformation of it that aligns. Okay, there's a converging. Okay, now there is a converging evidence that Golin and Pasek are correct in broad strokes, and that children and schools do better when there is an emphasis on softer skills like, and I think Dato Freida also mentioned this now, softer skills like social and emotional learning. However, just what those soft skills are has not yet been determined in the wider world. And you can find either well-researched list of skills from the World Economic Forum, the Collaborative for Academic, Social and Emotional Learning, or the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. While all of these qualities surely correlate, scientists do not truly understand which is most foundational. Okay, even scientists are not sure, okay? So while perhaps the ship is headed into the right direction, the specific course we should be charting remains to be worked out, all right? Let me move on. Now, the book to keep you, okay, the third book, the book to keep you, to keep on your bedside table is called What Great Parents Do, okay? Why should parents, educators, grandparents, and allo parents care about these different frameworks for raising children? Okay, because decades of research show that our beliefs about the nature of children and about how children best grow and develop inform our daily practices. If you understand ourselves to be gardeners, we will patiently and reliably answer young children's questions and make safe space for risk-taking teens. If you know that children do best when they are encouraged to develop their soft skills, we will make sure schools teach with that in mind. Now, but in the moment-to-moment decision-making, it can be hard to start out a concrete choice of action. That's why even as a developmental scientist, okay, the lady who wrote this article, she valued good enough and bold advice like the kind you'll find in Erika Reichner's What Great Parents Do, 75 Simple Strategies for Raising Kids Who Try. Though the title's hyperbole is unfortunate, her 75 tips are based on sound developmental science and parenting experience. The tips lie at the intersection of the 4 tips, okay, in the book: gardening, secure attachment, authoritative parenting, and soft skills. She recommends keeping the book handy and reading just 1 tip every so often. That's about all busy parents can digest anyway. We're all busy, right? Okay, so that's the 3 books which I guess parents who are really concerned about the children and want them to be future leaders, want them to be successful, should read. Okay, in my view. Okay, now let's look at how to deal with what you call challenging children. Okay, basically, challenging behaviors in children, you and I know. Okay, look at the toddlers. Okay, they have tantrums, saying no, beginning to show independence. They bite or they hit. Okay, and then the preschoolers. Okay, they test the limit of rules and they ask why. Why must I not do? Why should I do? Why can't I do this? A lot of why. Okay. Begins to tell lies or argue. This is what worrying me. Begin to tell lies or argue. It's even more today because you know what, as I said earlier on, we live in a post-truth fake news era. And from small, even my grandchildren, I see them, they're all carrying gadgets. They're all carrying smartphones. They come to the house, the first thing they ask is, Topa, can I have your iPad? Topa, can I have your phone? Can I borrow your phone? So you see, I'm sure the parents of my age, or grandparents of my age will experience this. And then I was with Tan Sri Sulaiman Mahbub just a few years ago when she was chairman of Telecom during the table. So when we were laughing, talking about this, and then this is what he said. He said, yeah, Din. My grandchildren come to the house, dia bukan nak datang nak peluk kita, cakap, Topa, we miss you. Dia orang nangis. And this is what he said. Yeah, dia nangis. And then dia kata, Topa, Wi-Fi tak ada. The whole table, we were all laughing. So that's the kind of situation that we're dealing with today's children and grandchildren. Okay, now school age. Refuses to comply with rules, begins to show bossy or controlling behaviors, shows full independence. And then when they're a teenager, okay, they accept family rules, chores and responsibilities. They are able to handle emotions and anger, learn to accept failures and disappointment. But not all children are like that. Maybe in those days, okay, during my time. But today, no. Today, the grandchildren, they will tell you and they believe their smartphone, okay, they believe Google more than they believe you. And you and I know, and even Dato Freida also mentioned just now that not everything that you get in Google is true. Betul, Saiful?
Yep.
So that's why we need to manage that. We cannot just leave them alone. All right. Next one. Okay. Someone is suffering this. Okay. Do what feels right. Dealing with challenging children. Okay. Do what you do has to be right for your children, yourself, and the family. Do not give up. These are some of the suggestions. Once you decided to do something, continue to do it. Be consistent. Okay. Try not to overreact. Talk to your child. Be positive about the good things. Offer rewards and avoid smacking. Okay. Like I said earlier on, especially today, teachers, you better not smack the children because the next morning the parents will come, with a whole busload of lawyers to sue you. Okay. Let's move on. What are the 10 strategies for dealing with challenging behavior in the classroom? Turn negatives into positive, teach positive behavior, model the behavior you expect, establish a class code of conduct, communicate well, recognize good behavior and achievements, proactively develop relationship, have a quiet area. Nicely said, okay? Easy said and done, okay? For teachers who are in school who are having to deal with this, God help them. Okay, let's move on. What strategies can teachers use to manage challenging behavior again? 5 strategies for reducing challenging behavior. What are the 5? Change the setting, whatever that is, whatever setting that you use for. Respond calmly, teach alternative behaviors, give your students choice, notice the positive and offer students encouragement, practice consistency in your classroom. Right. Okay. Euphemistic children, a child who is particularly difficult to raise or educate, especially due to lack of self-control and disruptive and antisocial behavior. There's another one now, which is a lot now, we notice, okay, which we did not hear of a long time ago. I'm sure you've heard of this, Saiful, autistic children. In those days, we didn't know they were autistic. So children pukul rotan dia, you know, and then they are on their own. Sometimes they cry, you know, they're antisocial. But today, no. Today, even there are clubs, there are societies now, all over. Even there's an airport in UK now. I think either Liverpool or Manchester. They are autistic-friendly airports. So you see how important it is for us to understand your children. If they are autistic, they need to have special care. You cannot leave them alone. And I know some friends who have autistic children. Okay, what 5 most common affecting Americans today? Euphemistic children. Okay, conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, which is called ODD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or the ADHD, then the obsessive compulsive disorder, or the OCD, and then they have the behavioral addiction. So these are some of the things that you find. I'm sure it's here too in Malaysia. Okay. Now my last slide: consequences versus punishment, a comparison. Now, if you take the the consequence approach into dealing with your children, your babies, okay, you intend to teach them lessons. You foster internal locus of control. You are proactive. You are logical and you are related. You work in the long term and you promote responsibility. Now, if you take the punishment approach, which we used to in those days, okay, we intend to give discomfort, but sometimes it's work, okay. Discipline, okay. If you allow people, if you don't discipline them, and I learned a lot. I can tell you a lot of the things that was taught to me when I was a kid. It still holds true to me. I still remember my late father tell me, he said, boy, if you want money, you ask me. You don't go to my pants, take out the wallet and take the money from me. So you see the kind of integrity and the kind of honesty and trust, you know, that is all those values, you know, from small. This kind of things, but today no. Today things are changing. Okay, we small. Even my grandchildren come to me. My God, they are 3, 4 years old. They're already holding a smartphone or a gadget. Oh my God. What about those people? There are a lot of people all over the world today who in the those who can afford. Not only there is the digital divide, there is this economic divide, in this inequality, which is actually widening throughout the world. Now, if you take the punishment approach again, foster external locus of control, are reactive, are unrelated and personal, work in the short term, can promote obedience, but more likely resentment. So that's the slides, okay? Have I reached my 30 minutes, Saiful?
We can move into the Q&A, no problem.
All right, that's good. We move into the Q&A. So that's my, this is the 4th unwise monkey, my last slide. So in those days, we were used to the, 3 monkeys, right? See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Today, we have the 4th monkey. You see the monkey holding the iPhone? Follow and share all evils. So it's very challenging. It's very challenging for parents, isn't it? All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I am done.
Thank you very much, Prof. Wonderful sharing because this is our 2nd week and our aim is, of course, to share as many possible answers as possible. And then we are knowledge seekers, knowledge searchers. And if one particular answer or one particular information is good for you, go ahead. but let us take as many as possible, But I like that when you mention like things you learn way back in the 60s, for example, with different kind of disciplinary method. You remember them for a long time. It helps you mold you into the man you are today. But there are also new things that we have to share with our kids, with our children. Now, could you just explain to us to find the right balance between the old truth, for example, and the new ways children will have to manage and circumnavigate their life? How can we get to know where is the turning point?
Well, that's a very difficult area to cover. But if you ask me, my immediate, off the cuff response is that we need to manage the children. Many parents today leave their children with the gadgets, which can be dangerous. There are a lot of influencers, YouTube and stuff like that, and they learn things which they shouldn't learn at their age. And you'll be surprised that these kids, they are smarter than you. And I ask my son, and I ask sometimes my grandchildren how to go here and there. They are better than we are. But don't forget, there is what you call the functional and dysfunctional consequence. The functional consequence is good. They are prepared to face the world, with the new, digital world and things like that. So to them, it's no big deal. But my worry is the dysfunctional consequences. What they become, all the dark, wet things, that might, get into the head. So that's my immediate response to you, Dr. Saiful.
I have this thing that I share with my daughter, because sometimes you cannot see. My son told me that you need to find new ways of spending time with the baby sister. I said, hey, I send her to school every time I'm around, and he said, no, but you notice, or your conversation would be, homework dah siap ke belum? What did you have? What are you going to have? So it has gone stale, But we found that when we watch anime together, something that I can never envision myself doing, but when we do watch anime together, and then we talk about different stuff, is that perhaps something that parents will have to now invest a lot in time in what your children like, rather than the carpenter approach? Can we start with that, perhaps?
Yes, I think so, Dr. Saiful. I'm with you on that. We should engage with our children and do the things that they would like to do, which they enjoy. When you engage them, and then you can slowly introduce the kind of things that you would like them, or something that you feel very strongly about it, that you want to share with them. Not in the confrontational approach that we have in the old days. And even if you look at HR practices today in organizations, because we deal with so many generations, right? The baby boomers, the Gen X, the Gen Y, and then the millennials. So the keyword, I remember, even way back in 2007 or 2009, I was speaking in Bali. We were already talking, about engagement. You need to engage your workers, your peers, your employees. And the more so today, the keyword is engage. You need to engage with your kids. If you don't do that, then it will be too late. You may be coming at the wrong time. That's how I feel about it, Dr. Saiful.
Well, I guess it's tough, but I guess conferences like this will enable us not to feel alone, Ada ruang nak cari jawapan, so on and so forth. Again, Prof, thank you very, very much. But there's one very important question. I'm putting it towards the end here. Someone asking, those are good books, how to get parents to read those books.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, but but I guess parents who want to read those books, who even take the trouble to go into Amazon or to go and Google it and order it over the mail, are parents who are forward-looking, parents who want to make sure that their kids become successful and become the scientists that they have dreamt in their mind, or become one of the fantastic doctor in the world, or a really fantastic engineer. Only those kind of parents who would go that extra mile to go and look for the books. But the standard of the kind of parents. Okay, yeah, fine. I'm sure while I was going through the book, I'm sure some parents say, yeah, right. But that's okay. Different parents look at things differently. But since I mentioned about the different generations that we have to deal with these days, maybe Saiful, if I can just share, I have one word to describe this generation. Now the baby boomers like me, I have one word to describe them. I call it incorrigible, because the minds are all stuck, as carved in stone. So you can watch this in boardroom. You find that these baby boomers, when somebody makes a proposal, say, oh yeah, it looks good, but no, I don't think we should do it, because we've tried it before, it didn't work. So their minds are all set. Okay, that's the baby boomer. Then you have the Gen X. I like the Gen X because you know why? They they are the ones who said it, who described them, not me. You know what they say? Gen X, they say that they are the lost generation. Because you know why? So I said, why? Why do you call yourself lost generation? So they say that when we were small, our children tell us to do this, but then they do something else. So we were lost. So the father tells you, don't smoke, boy. Then one weekend he goes down at the back and then saw the father in a nice armchair and smoking a pipe. So they're confused. So they grew up, they're confused. So that's why they say they are the lost generation. And then you have the Gen Y. The Gen Y, interesting. I have one word to describe them. Fickle. Okay, I'm sure the ladies Gen Y will not like me, but this because one day they say I love you so much. Next day they say, hey, I'm nyampah tengok you lah. Can we go separate ways? And then the third day they will say, hey, can we come back together? So they cannot make up their mind. Okay, I'm sure that you must have come across one or two of these. Okay,
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Prof.
Okay. And then the millennials. I like the millennials. Okay, I have one word to describe them. Okay, this is the Gen Z. Brutal. You know why I say brutal? Because you notice, the millennial girl will send a message to to the boyfriend, and then say I love you. So they wait and see whether the boyfriend reply or not. In the 14th minute, she will send another message. And if the 15th minute the boy didn't respond, you know what she does? She blocked his number. So that's what I describe it as brutal. And the other interesting thing is to add on to that is because I was in an MBA class. I was teaching project management, and there was a Datin, okay, and who has a son, and the son is a millennial, and then they like to play games, okay, like to play games. So and the girls are smart. So the only way nak murat the boys, they also join and play the game. The video games, okay, and then when they get to know, and then they wanted to be boyfriend girlfriend. Before anything, the girl tells the boy, said, okay, if you are going to be boyfriend girlfriend, that's one thing I want you to do. So the boy asked, what? I said, you must send me a message every day 16 times saying that I love you. So this is a true story told to me by the Datin, about his son. Then I asked Datin and said, so what happened, Datin? Did your boy make the girlfriend? Of course not. Then you had a good laugh in the class. So that's just all I wanted to share. I hope I've not taken too much time.
No, it's just that because yesterday I was in another conference, a guy saying that he was a new manager, and he presented to the CEO. CEO said your presentation, your PowerPoint is like superb, and the same breath scolded the general manager. Why are you giving me this kind of product?
That's incorrigible. So
yes.
So I'm right, okay?
Yeah, and then the manager asked, I'm a bit confused, why are you praising me and then you scolding my boss? He said, yeah, for you it's good. At your level, this is fantastic, but not his level. He's a GM. So perhaps parents also need to see this.
Yes.
For the old question, I +1 approach, where is the +1 and the status quo of that particular child. So again, Prof, thank you very, very much. Very insightful, very direct from the heart. And then I'm very sure everybody would feel the same way as I'm feeling. We have now a lot of answers. It's now up to us to, number one, have actions done with our children and of course our nephews, grandchildren, so on and so forth, and continue to support programs like this so that we can have more sharing. conference by Kids of Future, and well supported by City University. So thank you very much again, Prof. You don't look tired now because you're excited. You're excited. Once excitement comes, tiredness will usually go away.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I will be leaving this platform for a while. We'll get another moderator to come in for the next speaker. And then, of course, we'll take perhaps 2-3 minutes to get the speaker ready. And then we will continue with our fourth presenter of the day. Thank you very much again, Prof. Khaerudin from Kids of Future and also from City University. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Saiful.
Oh, and very good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Hi, Miss Sharifah Mastura. My name is Amir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Prof. Prof is also still around. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof. Khaerudin, for the very enlightening talk. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we now have our next speaker with us. We have Miss Sharifah Mastura. Welcome.
Hi.
To our education and parenting convention, the first of its kind. We do this with kids, our future, with the support of City University Malaysia, from which I'm from. We had a few speakers, one from the US, one from Malaysia, Dato Freida Pilus from Cempaka Schools, and we have my good friend Prof Khaerudin Sudharmin just now with us. And now we have you, Miss Sharifah. Miss Sharifah is a clinical psychologist. What she will be talking to us, parents, teachers. She will be talking on family stress and children's psychological problems.
That's right.
Ms. Sharifah, over to you.
All right. Thank you. So let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right. Okay. So, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sharifah Mastura. I'm a clinical psychologist at Oasis Place, Malaysia. So today I will be sharing a bit on family stress and children's psychological problem. Before I start on this topic, is it okay if I introduce Oasis Place briefly?
Yes, please do. Please do.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So Oasis Place is basically Malaysia's largest intervention center. So we're the multidisciplinary intervention center, and we offer assessment, therapy, and trainings here in our clinic, our center, as well as offsite at schools, homes, and workplace, as well as online. These are the services that we offer. And our main agenda here is to achieve the best quality of life and supporting our clients' transitions through all stages of life. So here, we have clients as young as 2 years old up to elderly. So we help them with the transitions. That is a bit about Oasis Place. And now I'm going to start with the family stress. First of all, let's talk about stress. So what is stress? Stress is basically our body reaction to demands and challenges that arises that we cannot cope. So in our daily life, there's always demands, there's always challenges, right? And we're okay with that. But then when we cannot cope with it, we have this body reaction that we call stress. So stress can be positive and also negative. So the positive stress we call eustress, and the negative one, when sometimes we're unfortunate and we experience the negative stress, we call it de-stress, right? So stress has two aspects. One is psychological and another one is neurobiological. So when we're stressed, the psychological aspect is that we feel unpleasant feelings and emotions. So this is jealousy, fear or anxiety. We feel depressed sometimes. Sometimes we're too stressed that we feel like we want to get angry at everyone, right? And that is the psychological aspects. And then we also have the neurobiological aspect. That is what is going on with our body. So when we're stressed, it will cause our brain to have changes in the brain chemical. So what happens is it disturbs with our hormones and in turn increases the cortisol level. And what happened to our body is it increases the heart rate, the blood glucose and blood pressure. But then we don't really feel this, right? We don't feel the blood glucose. What we feel is this. Sometimes when we are so stressed, we feel headache, we feel cramps in our stomach, we feel exhausted with the stress. And at times we also feel heart palpitation. We can't breathe easily. So where does this stress come from? Stress can come from our work, our studies, our health, our friends, family, financial. There's a lot of triggers that may contribute to stress, and we face this every day. I would say that stress is something normal, but then what happens if you can't really cope with it, right? And today, for this discussion, what I'm gonna discuss is mainly on family stress, because we have parents here, we have teachers here, so we want to focus on the family stress. So what causes family stress? So again, back to the EU stress and de-stress, there's two types of stress, right? So EU stress includes like the fun stress, going to holiday, first day of your child's school day, right? Having a new member of the family. These all are the positive stress. We enjoy it, but then at the same time we feel stressed. But then there's also the negative aspect of stress, which is the de-stress. So we feel stress when there's a separation between parents, there's illness in the family members, we have financial constraint, and lastly, what is currently like hitting us so much is the pandemic. So the pandemic has actually impacted a lot of our family routines. There's online class, we have to do work online. All this actually burdens us, and especially as parents, we have so many responsibilities. We have to balance our personal life, our work, our financial, and at the same time, we also have to raise our children. And all this coming out together, it can be overwhelming for a lot of parents, right? But then coming back to this topic today is family stress and children's psychological problem. So how is what parents feeling can impact our children? So there's a saying that anxious parents, anxious kids. So as we know, children are like sponges, right? They take everything that they see. Monkey see, monkey do. That's like our children. So there's a lot of research has been looking at this particular aspect, and they found that anxious parents might have, or children with anxious parents might exhibit anxiety themselves. So they see you anxious, they will also feel anxious. But then I know everyone has their best intention, but at the same time, you might find yourself transmitting your anxiety to your child. This can be seen by, okay, stay close with me, don't go so far. You might be taken by someone. Don't play in the rain, you'll get sick. And like how Prof Khaerudin mentioned just now, the parents always constantly texting the children when they go out alone. Like, where are you? Are you okay? What time are you coming back? And this is all just because you are worried. You're worried for your child. And in the long run, it actually makes things difficult for the child as well. So the child might be fearful. They might also feel worried. They always want things to be perfect. And when they're anxious and overwhelmed, they don't know how to cope. They might also feel anxiety, right? Hence, because they don't know what to do, they will throw tantrums. So they will scream, bite, and run around because they don't know what to do. And the actual reason behind it is because they are anxious. And then in the long run, if all this is not intervened when they're small, right? What happens is it might lead to, it might grow into mood disorder. So you have like depression, you have anxiety disorder, panic attacks. All this might come up when they are adults. And then because they are anxious, they have this anxious attachment issue. It might lead also to the relationship issue. So when they're adults, they might have difficulties having friends, they might have difficulties with their partners, and this starts since young, right? So let me give you one example. Okay, so imagine this family is going to send their son for his first day of school, right? So parents are anxious, right? But then the parents are anxious because what if he doesn't make friends at school? What if he is too hard to handle? What if he don't listen to instruction? What if he runs around? What if he don't know how to use the money? All the what ifs that we have as parents on our child's first day of school. But then what we don't realize, it's unconsciously transferring anxiety to the child. So when the child sees this anxiety, what they feel is they might feel nervous, right? They might also feel the tense of the situation. Like, why is my mom or dad feeling like very stressed out, like very kelang kabut like that, right? So, and then they will feel stressed. So what happens when they stress? What happens to the parents? Parents seeing children stress, children being nervous. So they in turn become stressed also, the parents. So it becomes like a cycle. Parents being anxious and then transferring the anxiety to the child become nervous, tense, stressed, and then lastly, the parents seeing this, they become stressed again. So how do we, like, what do we do to break this cycle? We don't want this to happen anymore. All right, so now I'm going to share a few tips on what to do to break the cycle so that, I mean, again, anxiety, anxious, stress is normal. But then if we don't cope well, then it becomes something else, right? So the first thing you need to do is communicate. Communicate with your child that you're feeling anxious. You don't need to hide your anxiety. I mean, if you try to hide, it most probably become more obvious that you're anxious. And then what you can do is you talk to your kids about how you're feeling and how do you cope. You can tell that, oh, mommy was feeling scared this morning. That's why I yelled, because I was scared that we were gonna be late for school. Or like, I'm feeling scared right now, but I know that what I'm scared of might not even happen. That is what anxiety is, right? And then, so by communicating with your child, what you do is you send the message that stress is normal and it can be managed, right? You communicate with them. You can also brainstorm ideas on how to handle with stress and anxiety. You can help them express their emotions, their worries and fears through maybe by play or arts, drawing, and also maybe can watch movies. And that is why I always focuses on emotion regulation to help them express their emotion. So maybe you can ask them questions like, how do you feel when we were rushing this morning? What are the things that happening to your body? Did your heart feel the palpitation? Did your head have like dizziness or something like that? That is symptoms of anxiety, like I mentioned just now, right? So communicate with your children on your anxiety, on their feeling that time, and how to cope at that particular moment. All right. Next one is you can reassure them that they are okay. So sometimes when they see that we are anxious, the adults are anxious, they feel like I need to do something. I have to do something to stop from all of this being like kelang kabut again, right? So tell them that you're always there. If they're anxious, you're always there to help them. And also tell them that they did not cause this to happen. They did not cause the anxiety to happen. The anxiety is because of yourself. So don't ever pressure your child and like project your anxiety towards your child. That's something we would really, really avoid. So again, reassure them and share them some tips on how you cope so they don't feel alone, right? The next one is to keep their routine, all right? So because of this pandemic, everything is changing. School is going online, but then now towards the endemic, they're going back to school. So everything is uncertain. We're at the uncertain period of life, right? We cannot really determine what we want is what we want. So try to limit your child's routine as much as possible. So make it stay that way. All right. And this is because sometimes children find that the routine is comforting to them. So if we change it, it will cause more anxiety for them as well. Yeah, like I wrote in the slide, is that changing a routine, especially when someone in the family passes away, or all the stress that we feel might add on unwanted emotions. So there's grief to handle with at that moment. But then now with anxiety, and then it might lead to something bigger in the future. Okay, so next one is spend time together. I've always believed that quality time is always better than quantity time. I want to remind everyone about what happened during our lockdown. So we're 24 hours with our family, but one question to ask yourself is that, did we really connect with our family? We had all the time, right? We stayed at home. We cannot go out. We're always with them, but are we always with them? That's something you would want to ask yourself. So have a daily connect time with your child. It can be as simple as eating meals together, read a storybook every night, and just do activities that they enjoy as well. So when we increase the bonding of our family, children might find that we are a safe space to share their emotion. Hence, when they feel like it's safe, they would want to express, and less anxiety and unwanted emotion is on them because they let it out, right? Yeah. Next one is be a role model. So show them how you cope with your anxiety. There's a lot of ways of coping with anxiety, with stress. One best way to reduce the uncertainty is planning ahead. So this can be done by, for example, you want to reach school by 8:30 a.m. You have to reach school. So plan ahead as in, okay, tell your children, we want to reach school by 8:30. So we have to leave home by 8. If you want to leave home by 8, what we have to do is we have to get ready by, say, 7:30. And then we have to wake up at 7:15, example, right? So just plan ahead and communicate what might happen if the plan don't go that way. Again, communication is very important. Just communicate with your child make them a part of the plan as well. All right, that is one. And then the other one is deep breathing exercise. Deep breathing exercise, you can engage this with your child as well. So to make sure that our breathing is very deep, right? I recall that I was taught how to deep breathe by making my shoulder goes up. Like that's how deep the breathing is. But then actually what that should go up is your stomach. That's how we know that it's deep. So what you can do is put one hand on your chest and another hand on your stomach. And when you breathe in, your stomach should kembang, should not deflate, inflate. Expand, exactly, expand. Yeah. And then when you exhale, your stomach should deflate. All right. That's how you know that you're breathing deeply. All right. It might be quite difficult at first, but then practice makes perfect. And another strategy to practice this is by laying down. So it's easier when you lay down. All right. And the third one is stay grounded. This is by teaching your child to see 5 things that they can see, touch 4 things that they can touch, hear 3 things, smell 2 things, and taste 1 thing. So for this exercise, I believe going to a park is a very excellent place to do this because you can see a lot of things. But you have to like be mindful of only these 5 things, and then you can touch, you can hear the birds chirping, you can feel the wind blowing in your face. So park or like a beach would be a perfect place for this. And I wrote there, action speaks louder than words, because we might not realize that children look up to us a lot. So we're like the superhero for them. So show them the best example and be their role model. All right. Next one is to get help. So it's very beneficial for parents to join support group. This is because you can share your experiences and get new ideas from other parents on how to handle yourself and your child during the anxiety and stress situation. And then find other adults to take over or give you support. So sometimes all we need is just a time for ourselves to breathe when we're too stressed, when we are overwhelmed. So it might be a good idea to just go out and get a cup of coffee and enjoy your me time. Let someone else take over and take care of your child for the meantime. And when you feel better, you can come to your child and engage with them again. Tell them what happened. Tell them that I just need to breathe in a bit. And it's not because I don't love you, but it's because I need my time. I need to make myself calm. That's why. All right. If the stress and anxiety is just too overwhelming for you to cater yourself, you might want to consider seeking professional help. So this can help you process your thoughts and emotions and just, untangle your thoughts. So sometimes it's just too much and you need some help. So please consider that. And my last slide would be my final message, that I know parenting is something very tough, but taking care of your mental health is also difficult. So again, if these 2 things combine, it's very, very difficult for us to handle, but you don't have to do it alone. Seek help. There's always help out there. And yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharifah Mastura, for that very enlightening sharing with us. The immediate thought that comes to mind is a book that I read on emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman. There were stories that he wrote inside his book. One there was this story about a toddler at at a kindergarten where they the parents send the toddler. One of his friends was crying, so he slowly crawled to the friend, and then he started tapping on the thigh slowly. And then when he sees that the friend is not stopping, so it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. Still did not stop. Then he started shouting at that friend. Why? Because that is what he experienced at home. Whenever he cries, there will be gentle patting at the first, and then it grows stronger and stronger, and at the end is yelling. So that is in line with what you said just now. Parents are role models, right? Parents are role model. Our children observe what we do. Our children observe the things that we do between dad and mom.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I remember one radio advertisement. In this advertisement, the daughter was asking the mother, "Why did dad hit you?" And then the mother said, "Because he loves me."
Right.
And then, after that, not long after that, this daughter was hitting the sister. So when the mom asked her, "Why are you doing this?" "Because I love her."
You. Right.
So we tell them the wrong things. We show the wrong examples to our children, because we are the teachers. We teach them. They spend so much time with us. Your thoughts, Ms. Sharifah?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that's why we have to be more mindful of what we do and how we talk in front of our children, because they are really like sponges. They just take whatever as it is. And sometimes they might be very literal, where like you mentioned just now, tapping means love. Okay, I hit my sister because I love her, right? So we have to be really careful with what we say and how we communicate it with them, how we explain things. And as what our prophet have mentioned before, they are like white clothes, right? We parents are the one who teach them how things are.
Earlier also you mentioned something about we should have spent, are we really spending time with our children during the pandemic, during the lockdown? I myself am guilty of this. Because I have my own corner, work corner, at home, in my own world. So that is not good, for sure, right?
Yeah, but then again, I understand that it's very difficult to balance between, working from home at the same time we're with family. So it's not like we don't have work to do, right? We have work, but then our family is around. So, balancing is very difficult. Please don't feel guilty, Prof.
And even also we parents, we get a very real life experience of being teachers at home, and then we really appreciate our teachers in schools.
Then
Prof Khaerudin wanted to say something. He is so. Would you like to say something, Prof? You are muted, Prof. But I can see you. Okay, Prof. Again, Prof, you are muted.
Sorry, Prof. When you mention Goleman's emotional intelligence, reminds me the examples I always use from the other book that I read. What you call The Art of Possibility. What you call Professor Zender. she's we call the psychologist at Harvard, and the husband is a New York Philharmonic. So very interesting how they look at all these issues. Okay, so because I didn't realize you also like to get the example from the stories that you read from the book. Gitu
We
je,
learn
Prof.
from reading, Prof.
Yes.
Uh, and
But I
yeah.
like apa tu Sharifah punya example tadi. What do you call apa tu? Why did you hit tadi?
Why did you hit? Why did Dad
Why?
hit you, Mom?
Why?
Because he loves me.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
that always happen.
Yeah,
And
it happens a lot of time. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes they bring it to school as well.
Yeah, true. And then they and then we blame them for not behaving,
Exactly.
correctly. But you are the one who showed them that is the way to behave. That is the
Exactly,
way
yeah.
to treat your your loved ones. What more others who are strangers to you? I have a question from Facebook for you, Miss Sharifah. What kind of movies can teach children emotional regulation?
Okay. Thank you for that
Do you
question.
have movies in mind, or maybe later Prof. Khaerudin also can share some of these movies that can help us with learning emotional regulation. Those are one of the things that Goldman wrote about in emotional intelligence.
Yeah. So movies is actually the best way to teach children of emotional regulation. My favorite movie would be Inside Out. It's a cartoon from Disney. Basically, they teach how we have 5 emotions in our head. So there's there's joy, there's sadness, there's disgust, there's fear or worried. I'm not very sure. And there is also anger. So the movie actually shows what's happening in our brain and how do they control these things. It's called Inside Out. I always encourage parents to watch this movie together with their children, and sometimes just pause for a bit and ask your children, why are they feeling that way? How do you think things can be better? Things like that. This communicate and engage with your child during that movie time. Yeah.
Prof K, any movies in mind that comes to mind?
My favorite movie those days when I was traveling a lot during my corporate days is that movie called Babe. Remember the story about the little pigling? It's like
Babe.
Animal Farm, yeah. I particularly like that episode where the farmer, slaughtered the male duck, Ferdinand, and then turn it into a Thanksgiving Day. So the farmer's house is full of glass. So the animals were all gathered by the window, and everybody was crying, especially the male duck, because yang kena slaughter tu Roseanne, the female duck. So Ferdinand was crying, and then beside him was the cow, and then of course the other animal. So the cow was looking at Ferdinand and said, "Oh, come on, why are you? She was crying away profusely. Why is it her? Why not me? Why should be, So the duck was saying, the male duck. So the cow said, "Oh, come on, Ferdinand. If you want to lead a less stressful life and enjoy what the world has to offer, you have to accept things the way they are, kata the cow. Kata. And then so the Ferdinand, the male duck jawab, the way things are stinks. So those two remarks made by the cow and by the duck, philosophically, they are philosophically. Okay. So what the cow said, if you want to enjoy the way things are, you have to accept the way things are. Philosophically, the word is hopeless resignation. And the duck pula, bila dia kata, the way things are stinks. Philosophically, we call it spluttering resistance. So if you read the book by Janda tadi, psychologically, Sharifah, you are a clinical psychologist, right? So psychologically, there are only 2 kinds of people in the world. Either they are what they call cow, or they are duck. So if you look at if people look in the office, straight away they know. Kalau you pergi setengah office tu kan, boleh tanya kat counter, kat cik, saya boleh tak saya jumpa somebody. She will look at you, dia sibuk dengan teti, dia kata, entah, tak ada, saya kerja sini je, makan gaji je, you know. So that one would be the cow, hopeless resignation. And then the other type, maybe if somebody gets promoted, kata dia ada MBA, then you get promoted. So the girl dengar tu je terus pergi jumpa bos, cakap, hey boss, how come she was with me, she got MBA, I got MBA, how come she got promoted, I am not promoted? That behavior is the behavior of the duck. We call it spluttering resistance. So that Prof, I mean, that's my favorite book actually.
All right. Thank you so much. Which also reminds me of another story in the book by Dana Goleman, the marshmallow test. That marshmallow test whereby these researchers went to a kindergarten. It was break time, so the children were ready to go out and play, but he told the children, okay children, I have these marshmallows with me. I know it's your your play time now, but if you wait for me to come back, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. But if you want to go out now, you can get 1 marshmallow. So decision time, because some cannot wait, must go out and play. So take 1 marshmallow and go out and play.
Okay.
But the rest, some did wait for 10 minutes. They were lying down, looking at the marshmallow and everything. Waiting for the researcher. Where is this guy? Where is this uncle? When is he coming back? But they did wait. And then when he came back, wow, okay, well done, all of you waited for me. So here are your 2 marshmallows as I promised. So happily they took the 2 marshmallows and went out. And what the researchers did was they traced back this same group of children 11, 12 years later.
Okay. And
then they find a very vast difference between the 2 groups. The one marshmallow group, they were problematic. The teachers do not like them. They had problems with their dealing with their emotions. But the group who waited and 2 marshmallows, well liked by the teachers, they behave well, and then they lead a good life in school 12 years later.
But was there a further research? What happened to them? Did they become successful?
They became from there they developed. But the point that he wanted to make was this. They call it delayed gratification.
Okay.
They were able to delay their need to want something.
To be rewarded.
To be rewarded.
The class is actually to see how they can control their emotion actually.
Correct.
Impulsively. So those who actually take 1 marshmallow, they are considered impulsive. They just grab whatever that's in front of them. But then the one who waited and get 2 marshmallows, they actually are able to control their emotions, have patience, and that's why they get the 2 marshmallows.
So Prof, if I become the next Prime Minister, would that fulfill the delayed gratification punya definition tadi? Example story dia?
You wait for the 2 marshmallows. But now I believe nowadays we observe how children, they throw tantrums at supermarkets, hypermarkets. When they want something, they want it now.
Instant gratification.
Not wait.
Instant gratification.
Instead
of delay.
So they want instant gratification. And then they would even be willing to roll on the floor until you give them what they want. So that is the thing that we need to, I believe, we need to educate, we need to instill in them, inculcate in them to delay that gratification.
But if I see that scenario in the supermarket, you know what I would do, Prof. I will go to the mother and say, if I were you, I would be a bit embarrassed because whatever your daughter or your son is doing, your daughter or your son doing, that's a reflection when you were at their age. Did you do the same thing?
That's why they end up buying what the child wants
Yeah, true,
because
true.
of embarrassment.
All right. So thank you so much again, Ms. Sharifah Mastura. So
Thank you for
at
inviting
your
me.
center, you help with all these things, right? You help.
Yes.
Okay.
We do have emotional regulation training as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So your customers would be children, or your customers would be parents?
We do both. We do parent trainings as well as children training.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much again, Ms.
Thank you so
Sharifah, for being
much.
with us, for sharing your thoughts with us. We hope to be able to be in touch with you. Because we
Inshallah.
plan, City University Malaysia and Kids for Our Future, we plan to do this continuously. Maybe the next round, we can do this in Malay, so that we can reach out to more parents,
people.
the B40 parents especially. And then do this as part of our CSR, part of our love for the nation. Ministry of Education is doing so much, but there are things that we can do as individuals, as NGOs, as education institutions as well, and contribute towards the development of a better nation. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for
Sharifah.
having me.
Thank you again, Prof. Prof K. Thank you so much, brother. I call Prof Khaerudin, Prof Bro every time I talk to him.
Okay.
All right, thank you. We will now take a break.
Hi, good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Saiful.
All good,
Yeah,
all good.
Yes, good.
How's PJ today?
The weather is very good today.
Yeah, it's good for jogging. And this morning also I thought of going for a quick round, but then again I remember, I'm supposed to be moderating this wonderful conference. So thank you very much again, Dr. Teh. You came to us also for the Facebook Live series. So thank you very much, and this would be a continuation. The theme is of course for children and children with special needs, and of course the explanation would be a lot towards us spending time and trying to understand our children. But the theme also since this morning, Dr. T, a lot of parents are willing to do it. They are willing to give the time, but we would need more from people like you to tell us exactly on what we need to do, so we'll not be groping blind and spending too much time but not much traction. So without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Teh Lah Hoong, the principal for LaSalle, a very, 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 very famous institution. If you are in Selangor area, if you do not LaSalle, there's something wrong with you. It's such a famous institution. But without taking more of your time, Dr. Teh, I think you can introduce yourself a wee bit more and then proceed with your sharing session. Thank you, Dr. Teh. The platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saiful. I have been following the program since this morning, and we have such a illustrious panel of speakers, starting from Dato Freida just now, and Prof Khaerudin, Miss Sharifah Mastura. Yes, it was indeed a lot of input and I would say applicable nuggets of wisdom. Yeah, and today I just want to share my opinion as an educator for 37 years. And I have basically been in a variety of schools, and my school, we do have children or students who are challenged in terms of learning. Okay, so basically I would like to start, we have various points of views on learning styles, on how children learn and so on. And similarly for special children or normal children, they have a variety of learning styles too. We should look at all the different types, and first will be on the visual style. Yeah, and this is something that we should encourage our children to open their eyes and be aware of their surroundings. This is primary first thing that we would like to emphasize. And children, even as babies, many of them, they are attracted to colors and lights. So this is one aspect that we often neglect. And that is why we can see when children, they are attracted to cartoons, not so much of the content, but mainly because it is very colorful. And there is a frequent change, yeah, in the frames. Yeah, this is one aspect. The other one is sound. Yeah, the auditory aspect. We must also enhance this aspect. Yeah, let them listen. Sometimes there are moments where we ask them to stay quiet, and there are moments where we ask them to listen to what is around us. Okay, and these aspects actually later on will enhance their adaptation to different kinds of environment. Yeah, and the third aspect is reading and writing. This is where even though special children or normal children, we do like to encourage them, even by holding or scribbling, whatever it is. Please encourage them to do whatever, give them recycle paper, ask them to do stuff, write or read. This is another a point where we do ask our children to read even labels on the cereal box. Yeah, labels on the candy that they receive. What is it written there? Yeah, and when we bring our children on trips, draw their attention to the signboards. Make them more aware on all the signages. What do they see? Which arrow? Where is the arrow pointing to? So what does it mean? Yeah. So these are the stimulus that actually enhance their learning. Then the last aspect, which is actually my favorite, kinesthetic. Yeah. This is why we encourage parents to let them play, to bring them to playgrounds, to be involved in sports, not necessarily for excellence, for them to be the next Azizo Hasbi Awang or the next Nicole David, but more on making them more aware about movement. Yeah, and this kinesthetic aspect has always been underrated. Yeah, and sports actually enhance their learning ability as well. Yeah, usually sportsmen, people used to comment that they hardly have any little contact with books and learning as per se, yeah, studying per se, but then they seems to catch on faster. Yeah, probably this is because they have enhanced level of this aspect, yeah, kinesthetic aspect. Okay, now in the recent years or the last 2 decades, the other aspects have also been highlighted. Yeah, the first one that we can see is actually the logical or analytical learner. Yeah, and as educators, we find that some students, they don't know where to start. So this aspect is actually incorporated in our teaching as well. We take them from step to step. So when children learn that, okay, we must first start with this step 1. Yeah. For algebra, we teach them there is the negative and the positive. Then after that, we go on to the next level where they learn how to compute as according to the Bodmer's or so on. Yeah. At home, where the parents can play a role is that when we teach them or we involve them in baking or in cooking. So what do we do first? The first step, we mix the butter with the sugar. Then next, what do we do? Then we put in the beaten eggs. So this also helps to establish a certain pattern which will help them in their learning process too. Yeah. The next aspect will be on the social linguistic aspect. We have to teach them how to communicate, how to ask questions, how to talk to adults and to talk to children. And surprisingly, sometimes I feel that the children, they are better here than some adults. Yeah, because they know how to adapt their language with a different kind of listeners. Yeah, so you'll be surprised that sometimes children, they are better social animals than other adults. Okay, now solitary learners. This is actually there's a lot of misconception on this, whereby some think that you learn better alone. You learn better when you are in a quiet surrounding. Yeah, so for parents, we must also do not be influenced by this, that, don't make any noise because, he's studying. Then actually, when we don't prepare them, as they grow older, they will demand that I must study in a quiet place. So this will become a major issue in adjustment and adaptation. Yeah, there are certain times where we need to expose them to different surroundings for them, even though they learn better solitary, but not necessary must be in a quiet surrounding. Not necessary that they cannot study when there are other people around. The concept is that they study better when they can do it themselves. Okay, so then the other last I would like to bring up is on nature learners. This is where we ask parents sometimes to bring them outside, not necessarily to the jungle, but to the surroundings that is not inside the building. Yeah, bring them, draw to their attention to what is going on, why the birds are chirping, why is it so quiet over here, why there are no cricket sounds. Make them more aware, and this will actually, like what a professor brought up, now the younger children, they like to ask why. So when we expose them, sometimes they can find their own answers as well. Yeah, so this is also, of course, in terms of parenting styles, we, of course, theoretically, we will start with Linda Promrind. She first brought it up in 1967 when she published what we call the pillar theory. Yeah, there are 3 parenting styles. The first one will be on the authoritative kind, where the parents will give some kind of leeway for decision making, and there's some ground rules set, and this is the most recommended parenting style. Then we have the authoritarian, where they are actually disciplinarian, that they must follow certain ways and only that way. Yeah. So this kind of parenting style, everybody is aware, it doesn't work anymore with our current exposure and how the world has evolved now. Yeah, with access to knowledge, at the touch of your finger. This may actually encourage deceit or lies among our young children. Yeah, it is better that we let them have access, but we must set some ground rules. Okay, so I would not elaborate. And the third one that was actually in the pillar theory was the permissive, whereby the parents allow them to do whatever they want, and they are just like, the parents are the spectators. Yeah, they just see what they are doing. Well, if you make mistakes, you have to face the consequences. There are some plus points, but obviously the negative aspects overrule, a lot of the good part of it. Later on, this theory was actually been improved on by Maccabee and Martin in 1983, whereby they add another one, which they feel that is very important, which is the neglectful. It is similar to the permissive parenting, but in this aspect, the parents are totally not involved. They are not even spectators. That means they just let them do and let them face the consequences, and obviously there is no emotions involved. The parents are not involved totally at all. Okay, so like I said, all these are parenting styles, but I must caution, there is not one style that fits all. Even though they do say that authoritative, democratic style is the best, but not necessary. I have seen in for some children, we cannot adopt this. Okay, especially when it involves special children, there are some elements whereby we have to switch from authoritative to authoritarian and to permissive. I would say the first three, there is the element of love involved. But for the neglectful, this is where the element of love seems to be not apparent, not obvious. Okay, so that is for the parenting style. Now let's go to learning. How do this play a part in learning? So I would say, as being an educator and teacher, for successful learning, there are three components which really play a very important role. The first part is expectations. Second, responsiveness. Third, acceptance of individuality. Okay. Now, to make any learning successful, the parents and the child must be involved, in these three aspects. Okay, so we go to the expectation. For expectation, it's very important that the communication aspect must come in. Parents and child must communicate, either through verbal language, even through body language. So we must communicate in order to set some guidelines or some ground rules. Yeah, if we cannot expect that the child can read our body language or can decipher what we mean. Yeah, so I'm intrigued, you know, when sometimes some parents assume that the child know what the parents expect. Yeah, this assumption is actually misguided. Yeah, if we cannot communicate to them, nobody knows what they want, and the child may actually misinterpret the body language as well, like what is related earlier by Sharifah Mastura, you know, like the touch and the beating, you know. So obviously there is a breakdown in communication, and there was a misinterpretation of the gesture and the answers. Okay. Yeah, maybe the slide, if possible, can change to the yes. Okay. So, and the last part I would say is to establish some routine. Yeah. It's always advantageous when we have some routine in set, so that the child and the parent know when they can come in. Okay, so when the child is talking to another child, sometimes we must respect the gesture and do not intervene. Yeah, so this is the routine that we must establish earlier on. Yeah, okay. So the next one is responsiveness. Okay. Now, for responsiveness, it's very important for us to listen. Okay. Just like we want to teach our child to listen to their surroundings, we must also listen to them. Sometimes when they make a comment, it can be a cry for help. Sometimes it can be a request for validation. So this is the aspect that, you know, in our busyness, our routine, sometimes we forget to listen. Yeah. I like to relate an incident whereby a child suddenly show up in the kitchen when the mother was cooking, and the child didn't say anything but was just standing there. But the parent, they ignore and did not say anything, was so busy to, you know, preparing dinner and didn't listen. Yeah, to the silence. Sometimes we cannot just listen for the words, you know, we have to listen to the silence as well. Yeah, when the child is not talking, it's actually maybe it's a cry for help as well. The child is not able to communicate and don't know how to communicate whatever that is inside the child. Okay, next, we need to talk and discuss what is going on. Yeah, this is where the gesture of responding, we need to talk. Yeah, and we must also set a safe zone. Yeah, there's certain things where we have to stay calm. Yeah, we have to tell the child that the child can say anything without the parents reacting aggressively or violently. So this is the safe zone that we have to establish in the routine. Okay, and lastly, active involvement. Like what Ms. Sharifah Mastura said, sometimes this is the difference between quality and quantity. Yeah, when we are with them, not necessarily we are involved. Yeah, sometimes when we just put our hand on the shoulder and then we read together, or the child is reading, this is another active gesture of active involvement. Yeah? And not when the child is doing some work and the parent is busy on the handphone. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes we, as an adult, sometimes we try to do multitasking, but we alienate our child. Yeah. Okay. Now, acceptance. This is a very important aspect, whereby if we want to determine the successful learning, we have to accept our child as who he or she is. Yeah, our child is not a mini us. Yeah, not mini version of us. You know how hard I work. I don't have tuition yet. I can achieve this level. Now I send you for tuition, but you cannot perform. So this is a very dangerous remark. Yeah, many children or many of my students, their main gross is that the parents always compare themselves to the child. Last time I have no money, I come from a very poor family, and yet, I can make, I can deliver good results and make my parents proud. This is a very dangerous remark. We should never say that we are not proud of them. Okay. So do not put them down. Yeah. Now embrace the fact that our child is a different individual. They are not us. They are who they are. Yeah. So embrace them. Yeah. Encourage them. So this is through this we must display acceptance. Yeah. Remarks like look at this, your cousin, now performing so well, can go and do this, even though the parents are not educated. Do not make this comparison. Okay, so sometimes we ask parents to read on the biography of other people. We just get some snippets on how different people, different individuals can thrive, like what Professor Khaerudin said. Let us all be gardeners and not carpenters. Yeah. Okay. So we let them grow. Yeah. We provide the water, the fertilizer, the conducive surroundings for them to thrive. Yeah. And everybody can be successful. Okay. So to end my session, a little bit on the good practices, provide a variety of activities. They may be challenged in many ways, maybe they are special, they're spastic or whatever, but there are a variety of activities that they can do. And we must provide the opportunity. Some of the activities need not cost anything at all. Yeah, just digging up the soil, yeah, just handling the plants themselves, growing plants is also a good stimulus. Yeah. I just like to use this example. We have this component called RBT in school, yeah, whereby the students they are exposed to living skills,
Mereka bentuk teknologi, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And during the pandemic, we don't have access, so we couldn't do a lot of carpentry and all this. But the teacher asked them, why don't you grow some plants, so the teacher guided them what they should do and so on. And staying in an apartment and flat, many of them were very they feel very fulfilled when they saw the chili plant producing chili, providing food for the table that day. So this kind of activities is also good. Yeah, we must stimulate their surroundings, listen, yeah, train them to be good listeners as well. And this also applies to the parents, lah, you know, okay? And establish good habits. As a principal, you know, we could see this coming out from the pandemic. Many of the children cannot make themselves wake up early in the morning because for 2 years, the parents did not emphasize waking up early to start their school. Yeah. So once you have something going on, such as waking up at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning, it's so difficult to restart again. Yeah. So sometimes this kind of good habits, waking up in the morning, sleeping early, you know, doing stuff like sweeping their own room, taking care of their things, arranging their stuff, packing their these are the good habits that we should encourage them. We should establish early, you know, and let them have a good routine, establish the routine. Yeah. So okay, I am within time. Yeah. Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teh. Just like because you're the principal of LaSalle, have you noticed any problems before, any issues which before not there, now it's quite prevalent after the pandemic when they come back to school? What's the most prevalent issues here?
School attendance. Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
attendance.
So, you know, during the pandemic, probably the parents will say, oh, you know, if you're not feeling well, you know, stay at home. No need to come to school. Yeah. Now, for every single thing, little thing, was oh, I have bug, you know, a flu bug. I I don't feel like coming to school. So yes, that was this is really unfortunate. The parents, you know, during the pandemic, because of the moratorium, so they could defer the payments for their installment. Yeah, but once everything was back to normal, they found it difficulty catching up with the payments. And unfortunately, one of my students, the motorcycle was repossessed. Our children lack this empathy for their parents. They have this feeling of entitlement. Yeah. So he has not come to school for quite some time. We have sent him. The parents also approached the school for help, for us to send for counseling, because he told the parents, if you don't get me my motorcycle, I will not come to school. Yeah. So
So the social status to him too.
Yeah, for him, I would view it, it's a kind of emotional blackmail, you know. Parents, of course, they would want him to go to school, but he failed to see that the impact is on him, not on the parents. So from earlier on as a child, the parents must also impart sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we discuss with them, we must also let them know that, you know, where they have to be responsible for their action. Yeah, I know, like sometimes we will tend to tell the children, don't walk into the water puddle. But they would like to try. They would like to try. How does it feel walking into the water
Water
puddle?
puddle, yeah.
Yes.
No, there's one question here, Doc. Sorry, because of course age gap, age difference. Sometimes their kids, parents, and their children. Nowadays, mine too. When they're doing their homework, they're listening to songs. They could actually play games while doing their homework. In your opinion, should it just we let them be because it works for them, or are there any other thoughts that perhaps they should concentrate a bit more on their own rather than using all these gadgets?
Yeah. Actually, for me, listening to music, because it doesn't really take your focus away. Sometimes the music is only regarded as the background. Yeah. But when you play video games while you're doing your homework, it's a totally different kind of demand. Yeah. So for me, honestly, I would like to advise the parents. You should tell the kids, okay, you finish your homework, you can get access to your gadgets. Rather than you divide your focus, and in the end, they don't achieve the learning targets, the learning objectives. Yeah. So this is something that we also must teach our kids. Must hold on to the reward, just like the incident on delaying instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So instead of eating it straight away, you hold on to it first. Okay. So instead of playing your video games, you do your homework first. Okay. Then after that, you can play. So there must be some ground rules set for everybody. So yeah,
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much, Doctor. Again, spending your time with us. Very insightful, similar. But we have more time today than during the Facebook part, and then we hope that you will continue with your steadfastness and your readiness to look and study our children, actually, because they go to your school, and impart and share more information, knowledge, framework, so that parents can do better and teachers can do better too, because we hope that everybody have the intention, but sometimes the tools not quite there. So it's very apt that you are here today, along with the other speakers, sharing because you care about our children, which is, of course, our future. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for Dr. Teh Lah Hoong from LaSalle, PJ. She's the principal there, and then we hope that she can go on forever, hopefully. But then again, fantastic thing about sharing is doesn't matter where you are, especially nowadays we have a lot of online platform, but if we have platforms like this, it's much easier for us to be doing the sharing to a particular captured audience who really wants to do better in whatever it is that is their endeavor. So again, thank you very, very much for joining our conference. You are our fantastic final speaker of the day, because after this we will have a short break before we go into the summarization type mini forum to conclude all the ideas presented, framework shared and discussed of the day. Thank you very much again from Kids Our Future, and of course our wonderful collaborator City University Malaysia for joining us today, Doctor. Thank you very, very much. And to our audience, we take a short break before we proceed to the next session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are about ready to go with our final discussion of the day where we get all our speakers. Okay, one or two missing, of course, but all our speakers and some previous speakers to join us in talking about, how to be a parent in the 21st century. Is different, of course, from everybody would like to say, the good old days. But to some, the good old days are actual dark days, yeah, that they don't want to talk about it anymore. And while waiting for others to come in, I'd like to quote the great Sayyidina Ali, the fourth caliph of the Islamic civilization, the cousin of the Prophet, the son-in-law of the Prophet. He said, quote, teach your children not what you were taught, but what they should know in that particular days and age. And this was like 1600 years ago, but it still rings truth. And hopefully we'll have quite a few viewpoints here. Dr. Teh is already in. She will be continuing with giving her points. I think Dr. Indabe also in. Yeah, Doctor, are you here with us? And we also have the CEO.
Yes.
Fantastic, Indabe. Yeah, thank you very much for coming again. And we have Wan Ling ready.
Hey,
Wan Ling, are you with us?
good afternoon. Yes, I am.
Fantastic. Now we're going to give more points. You can discuss. I wouldn't be disturbing so much, but if you need me, I'm just here. Prof. Ami is coming in because in the spirit of learning, we're just going to have to respect point of views, ladies and gentlemen. Just because we disagree with each other doesn't mean that I'm right or you're wrong, so on and so forth, but we just have more answers. And those with more answers usually will be so far away from being stressed, from being aggrieved, because they simply have more answers. I'll start with this. Wonderful young ladies and gentlemen, it's like crossing the street. If you're running, a bus honks you, you'll run faster. But if you are just lazily walking, bus honks you, you stop there and the bus will possibly kiss your whole body. So we don't want to be in that situation. Let's have as many answers as possible. And I think I go with Dr. Inderbir first. How, in your opinion, to be a good parent of the 21st century? Go ahead, Doctor.
I think to be a good parent, you really need to know your child, follow their leads, and give them the best that you can, whatever you have. I think a loved child would definitely learn better. So, if you give your child a lot of quality time, you show love to your child, I'm very sure the child will learn better. And you need to know your child. You need to know the educational match that fits your child. So, my area is gifted education. So if you feel that your child is a little different from others, go see, find out why, and look for methods to help your child develop their full potential, because that's what we want, regardless of the kind of child we have, whether it's gifted, whether the child may have other special needs. We want the best for our children. We want to maximize their potential, and I think that's very, very crucial. That is what we should do as a parent of the 21st century. And we also need to know what they are doing today, because of the generational gap. We tend to think that we may want to use the methods that have been used upon us when we were growing up. But I think we really need to explore what is going on today. What are they learning in school? What kind of peers do they have? And I think that will really help us in our parenting journey.
Thank you. Very good start indeed, Dr. Enderbir. But I could see both Dr. Teh and Wan Ling, that I want to say something too. That's the spirit. I don't have to prompt, You just keep coming. I'm just going to have to order you a bit, which one come first, because online platform is like that. If it's live, I would just let it go, yeah? Let's go to Wan Ling first before we can listen to Dr. Teh again. Yes, Wan Ling.
Yeah, I guess for me is like depending on which stage they are in. being their friends, will actually, I find that, if you act like I'm your friend, you kind of be able to fish out more things, because for me, I have to play different role. If I become a mommy, when I want to teach my daughter, she will tends to want to manja, nothing gets done. And that time I will say, now I'm your teacher. That is, you can immediately see a different reaction. Oh, okay, teacher is teaching. But if I want to fish out things from her, like, so I just want to be your friend. It's like, hey, look, no, we are friends. Okay, yeah, why can't you share with me? So I guess as a parents, we can't play one role. It has to really, I like the part that Dato Freida was saying, we have to grow accordingly. Really, at times, we have to look at situation and really act accordingly, what stage you are in, and every child are different. I know my daughter is the type that she will compare. So, and she will always, very vocal. If she doesn't like it, it's like, wow, adults can do things and why can't I? It's like during the pandemic, you adults, she asked me this question, you adults never ask if we are happy. That shocks me. That really thinks that, yeah, we take things for granted and we never bought, what kind of busy with our work, and we don't ever, how many of us actually ask that, are you okay? Are you happy? And of course, to me, it's like, yeah, online class, you'll be happy. But to her, it's like, I miss my friend. This is not what I wanted. That was something that hit me hard. I was like, yeah, I think as an adult, as a parents, we kind of like really have to get into them to know what stage are they in. And I find being a friend get me into knowing her daily activity much more than being I'm a mommy because she's a bit reserved with me. Yeah.
Thank you for the first part. We're gonna have to
Yes.
go with Dr. Teh. Give your view on how to be a good super parent 21st century, and then now we'll go towards after that towards the summation structure that I'll explain to everybody. Go ahead, Dr. Teh.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Saiful. For me, in my experience as a teacher, I find that sometimes parents get carried away. Yeah, that I want to be a friend to my child. So so they will tell the teachers, oh, okay, please reprimand my child. I don't want to risk that that friendship. In brutal language, you are not the friend. So the parents must set the guideline. We can discuss with them, we can be best of friends or whatever, but there are certain aspects where you have to put your foot down. Yeah. Some parents, they don't want to do they don't want to be the bad side of the parent, so they push it to the other spouse, which I feel that is unhealthy. Yeah. So I guess it works both ways lah. Sometimes the father say, mommy said cannot. So parenting is it's a joint collaboration. So it need not be the bad parent and the good parent. So everybody must play a part. Yeah. So this is my take.
Thank you, Dr. Teh. Oh, Prof is back. Both profs are here. Yeah? So, but we're not going to ask you about how to be. We're going to go straight to the action plan. Yeah. Now, Prof, of course, you're a parent and you're also a grandparent. Things which you believe that you've done, maybe one or two, which is like really good. And I've done this, and they are very helpful, in getting me to go through with my children and my grandchildren. Could you share with us one or two things that you've done? It's like, hey, this is good. I should continue. In fact, I'm going to share with my friends, with everybody, they should do this too. Any of this, Prof?
Wow, that's a difficult one, lah.
It's afternoon, Prof. Afternoon. And you're wearing black anyway.
Well, I have always approached this. I'm a very what do you call it, democratic guy. But I can be very authoritarian too. If you don't follow my style. But otherwise, I'm okay. Just to share with everyone, my greatest pride and to show that I think that I have done quite well in that sense, and not being too forceful, is when my son, my youngest son, I have only one son, graduated from Uni KL, and he didn't tell me. He almost every other semester he was in the dean's list. He only told the mother. So I have given all the support, and then the two elder sisters, the Kak Long, and then the second one, okay. When they were again, I didn't interfere much, and I know what it's like. So I let them, develop themselves. Once in a while, I ask, but usually it is the mummy who does all that. Okay, really fussy and asking because the mummy is a teacher and also was a principal. Okay, so you can imagine how they also manage at home. But in my case, I'm a corporate guy. I was spending quite a lot of time in corporate, so I lead it. I left at least. The only thing just to share with everyone is, when my daughter got into college, my second daughter, she came to my room and smiling happily says, "Pa, yes, you know what? I got into college." Oh, I said, "Well, that's good." Then the next day she came in again, said, "Pa, I got into college." Oh, okay. And then she was, lingering around and still hasn't smiling and not moving away. And then slowly she said, "Pa, you promised." I said, "Huh? Promise? Promise what?" I said, "You promised that when I get into college, you would get me a car." I said, "Oh, I see." And then she quickly took the opportunity. And said, "Pak, can I have Suzuki?" At that time it was the Suzuki Swift.
Yes.
Okay. I said, "Huh?
Yeah.
What?" I said, "I know of students who just graduated from UIA, who did law and has only been working 2 years, saving, they're asked to just get the down payment, and you're asking me to give you a Suzuki Swift?" I said, "No way." Then I went back to the office. I was talking to my colleagues and they said, "Boss, give the Myvi." At that time it was Myvi, okay? I was in fashion. Just give a brand new Myvi, okay lah. So the next day I went back and I called and said, okay, Kak, I decided I'll give you a brand new Myvi. And you know what she said? "What? Pa, Myvi? Apa barang? Let me think about it." She said.
Could you give the Myvi to me?
And then the next day, then she came back. She said, "Okay, I've thought about it." I said, "It's okay. Myvi pun Myvi lah," dia kata, "but on my terms." She got 3 conditions. I said, what are the conditions? Number 1, it must be white. Number 2, manual, not automatic. And number 3, the latest, the high-end spec. I said, what? High-end spec? Hello, that's extra $5,000, okay? Then it says, people all driving automatic and you want manual. Oh, I know why. You and your friends, as traffic light, vroom, 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 vroom. The traffic light change color, you will start racing. Okay? And the first one white. Then I realized they are a gang, Dr. Saiful. So everybody will wear white. So what I did, I personally went to Shah Alam, went to order the Myvi, paid for the car, and brought back and drove the car back to her. And for your information, Dr. Inderbil, Miss Chin, Teh, Dr. Saiful, that was the first and the last time I saw the car, that Myvi. Because after that, when I asked her, "Kakak, can you send me somewhere?" She got all the 1,001 excuses, okay? When I took a peek inside the car, oh my God, it was a typical, typical teenage girl's car. All the shoes all over the place, everything was hanging here and there, my goodness. So just
No room for you.
Yeah. So that is my experience, okay, of bringing up teenage children. And what do you call, and my son was, when I look at him, and the way he speaks to people, the way he does things, and then, so I said, oh, okay, at least he got a chip of the old block. So I think my DNA is inside him. So, and I'm quite proud of him, just to share with everyone.
Thank you very much, Prof. So we got it, huh? We should continue offering cars to our children.
No. That was not I was alluding to, but I was trying to live up, the things that people do at that time. Okay, at that moment. Okay. Now they, even your grandchildren, they straight away tell you what phone they want.
Yeah.
Betul tak? Betul.
Yeah.
You have to, in other words, okay, with due respect to those who can't afford it, we need to be able to, what do you call, go with the times. But don't. My advice is don't overdo it. Okay?
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Thank you very much. And a very smart girl, she got herself a manual car. No one can borrow the car. Only those who can drive manual can borrow. Right, now we have Prof. Abe. Prof. Abe, we're going to go for another quick one, another tricky one. Things you wish you didn't do. Things you wish you did do. This thing I did, and it wasn't good. I want to share with my friends, especially the younger parents, don't do this. What would it be? Putting you on the spot there.
Okay. Things you wouldn't do, you shouldn't do.
You did, wasn't good, so you're telling people not to do.
Meaning that every time my daughter, whenever she even thinks about something, immediately I want to go and buy it.
Do you need another daughter? I have two.
So it's very shouldn't be doing that. And then my wife will always tell me, why are you doing this? No, wait, please wait, don't do this, don't buy it. So she was always reminding me not to over pamper the daughter. She's the only one that we have. We love her so much. So that I would tell the parents, don't ever over pamper your kids. You do not want to spoil your kids.
Thank you, Prof. But if there's any extras, you know me. I can, of course, forward you my account number. Now let's go back to Dr. Inderbeer, putting you on the spot too. With all this sharing that we've had since the last 2 sessions of this conference, and of course with your experience too, something that you wish you would have started. Because if you had started this and then you want to share with others, so they start doing this and maybe we could be better parents, We've not done it yet. Or perhaps if you had done it, it wasn't done in a significant fashion. What should we start actually, especially, being a parent in this 21st century where everything is like the way it is now, quite tough. What say you, Dr. Inderbeer?
Well, I think, we should make definite time every day, maybe meal time, at least one meal where the entire family is together and no phones. No phones.
I thought there was coming, no phones.
Okay. You guessed it that much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Inderbeer. I'm going to go to, if we follow back the order, I'm going to go to one link now. One thing you feel like, if I had started this, it will lessen, not to say we will not have problems with children, it will lessen the impact, lessen the frequency of the issues. What say you, one link?
For me is, you see, my daughter is very afraid of maths. I guess.
Then I'm your daughter.
I just felt like, I should have started earlier to kind of like guide her into the maths area, because for me, it's like a learning process. As long as, she go through the whole process. I'm not the type that going for the grade, but to me is the learning process is important. She has to do homework. Exam time, she do her revision. I'm good with it. It's like, have you tried your best? She has tried her best. I'm good with it. I'm not pushing for you must have this, you must score this. But then I realized that I leave it too late. She just come to this point that come to maths, she is like almost closing. Like, yeah, I don't understand. I do not know. I guess maths is something that if they start earlier to accept it, it will be much easier. So come to now it's difficult. She just switch off. So that is one part that I think I didn't do well, but I was still trying to encourage her. It's okay, we go back to the lower. Now that you couldn't cope with what you're learning, well, probably we start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I think it's okay with you only. With me, kind of difficult because I'm a bad example. I had issues calculating my gratuity. Even when I retired, I had to come back to UPM, work extra 4 months because I calculated it wrong. Now let's go to Dr. Teh. Dr. Teh, what say you? What say you? Something that hey, we should start doing this, and it would be much, much more helpful for our children and for ourselves as parents for the 21st century.
Well, I would recommend all parents to bring their child for sports. Yeah, because sports actually teach, impart a lot of discipline, values, and it actually establish, some ground rules on their behavior, on what they should do and what they should not do. And they also teach them how to accept defeat and failure. Yeah. So this is the part when in our world where we are always in a hurry to do something and we must achieve it in the fastest time and the best way. Sometimes we forget to teach them how to accept failure. Yes. Yeah. So this is the part. I like maths, for example. I have the same problem with my boys in school, and they hated maths. And they will try all their, their ways of avoiding the maths lesson. So one day I step in and I talk to them. You're approaching it wrongly. If you are doing badly in it, then you must learn to try harder. Never mind if you get it wrong, try again. Get it wrong, try again. Rather than running away. You are running away from the solution as well. So this is a lesson that we have to, we accept ourselves also. Yeah, I guess when we grow up especially in Asian families where, Asian families, parents demand a certain kind of, standard. Yeah, so we don't teach our kids to fail as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Teh. Dr. Inderbil was with us last week, so she has fans asking questions. But then again, this is a summing up session. Yeah, we'll try to reserve the questions, but later on, if you say it's okay for them to contact you, perhaps we could share your website, so on and so forth, so they could ask direct questions to you, because there's a lot of comments on how to look and how to manage and how to be with gifted students, because Dr. Inderbil is an expert on that. But for all of you, you have two choices, because we're moving towards the final statement from everybody. Number one, you can, of course, give me a pantun in English that will more or less cover every single thing that you want to say, or you could tell everybody, of course, your aspiration on what we hope Malaysia as a whole would do to support the growth of our children with difference in terms of needs and so forth. What do you think Malaysia could do? So that's a tough one. Malaysia, and as per usual, because Prof. Khaerudin is in black, I'm assuming that he's a supporter of the New Zealand All Blacks. We'll start with you, sir. Yeah? Your aspiration, what more? We're talking about us. This is already a fantastic thing, parents, friends coming together, educators. Can we have a bit of a nudge so that we can tell the government, hey, just give us this bit more, and maybe, we will be, we don't have to worry about rankings anymore because we'll be that good, yeah, our children and us too, yeah. What say you, Prof?
Okay. I just remembered my ex.
Pantun or the other one?
No, the other one. The pantun. I just remembered what you call what my late my ex-boss, Tun Arshad Alip always when I was chatting with him, this is what he always said. And he has always wanted this to happen. He wanted children to be what he call well trained, or to ensure that they pick up the love for accounting, to be able to appreciate numbers at an early age. See, because and the favorite that we what you call he always used, and I also always use. Pardon me, it may sound a little bit gender biased. I ask for forgiveness. If it sounds a bit gender biased. Balance sheets, okay. The best way to teach people to appreciate accounts, finance, is with this one. He says, balance sheets are like bikinis. What is revealed is exciting, or what is exposed is exciting. What is concealed is even more dangerous. So that's why at an early age, people must be able to appreciate finance, especially the balance sheet. And it comes in handy, see, because even if you are at the board meeting later on, if your finance is not good, not strong, it's difficult for you to appreciate, to see, scenarios. So because the balance sheet is a very powerful financial tool. So on one side, people only know, balance the asset and then the liability, that's it. But what lurks behind those numbers is even more important. So what do you call, it's also a way to encourage people to appreciate what you call, not that I'm very financial biased, but I think it's a good skill, because if you look again, the Chinese, okay, community, they from small they already learn, if they have a bicycle shop, and the little ones already known how to understand accounts, and if they have a sundry shop and stuff like that. So from small they are already exposed to finance. But a lot of the Malay kids, for example, when they go to class, they don't appreciate, and then they go to class and people say about asset liability, so they cannot visualize. So that's what I think it's important. Sorry, Dr. Saiful. That's my take for this. An important skill that I suggest it would be good to hone, so that, because after that a lot of things will come in nicely.
Thank you very much, Prof. Bonafide professor. In just 2 minutes, we have fashion, finance, and also historical development coming in. Fantastic. Now we go to the other Prof. Prof Abe.
I want to add on.
No pantun, yeah?
No pantun, but I wanted to add on to the finance story. My lecturer always picks up on me when I was doing my master's degree. Abe, what's the answer? I will be pressing on my calculator while waiting for my friend at the back to give me the answer. So once they tell me the answer, I was speaking. Then he said, "Very good." So I'm also
really good friends.
So I'm very hopeless with numbers as well. But on the serious side, I think we need to teach our children the right values from the very beginning. And I think everyone is in agreement that the country is in such a very bad shape at the moment.
Absolutely. Agree.
Yeah. So earlier, even I was talking to Jackson, I was talking to Dr. Saiful as well, how bad the situation of the country is, the values that our leaders are displaying, without any shame, without any remorse.
You make a bad example to the young ones.
Yeah, very bad example. And then if we do not stop this, the country is going to go down the road. So we, as parents, we have to do something. We have to start from the very young. We have to tell them what is right, what is wrong.
Agreed.
Show them what is wrong, what is right, what is wrong. Tell them, so the current leaders have the cheek to say things, that as if they are so pious, so good, but at the same time they are doing very, very wrong things. That's I feel is very, very important. And then I hope every parent should take this on, teach our children from the very young, develop them into individuals who always able to differentiate between what is right, what is just wrong. Oh, Dato Freida is in the forum.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much, Prof. Ami. We have to teach values, of course, good values by examples. But most importantly, if you are not good in mathematics, make sure you have friends who are good to help you in any situation. Yeah?
Always behind you.
Always behind. Yeah? Not so obvious. Yeah. Now let's go now to Dr. Indabir. Yeah. So you have a choice to pantun or.
Had you given me more time, I would have come up with a pantun.
I'm very sure. I was kind of hoping there.
Especially in the Malay language, but I didn't have time to. I was busy listening to everyone.
Give half a pantun would do.
So I can't come up with a pantun. Not pantun, a sajak actually.
And we have Dato Freida with us. In a while, we'll get to you, Dato. Go ahead, Doctor.
Okay, so my take on this, I think there's so many experts here who are focusing on the majority. I'm going to focus on my minority, that is the gifted children. Okay, so what I want to say, I'm hoping someone in the government will hear this. Unfortunately, I'm not in Malaysia, so that actually is a bummer. Yeah. So I would like the government to actually educate teachers, maybe start from teacher training college, and just one module, just a single module on gifted children. It is now, I think it's combined with special needs children, but gifted children, they're the other extreme. They're so different. Their needs are so different. Yet, as special needs children, they have those special needs. Now, unfortunately, in Malaysia, I think the start is quite late. Genius Pintar program at UKM starts only much later when the kids are much older. So, I mean, it's too late to identify. I think they should be identified by preschool teachers. Now, so which means preschool teachers need that education. They need that awareness. I think parents are actually quite aware. I was told that last week I was told that it was an eye-opener talk, which actually surprised me because it really surprises me because the level of awareness was that low in Malaysia, which is very sad. So I mean, Malaysia has this, you have this asset in the country, but we are not nurturing them. There is no trigger. We're just leaving them as is. I'm sure there are so many gifted children who don't even know. I mean,
they are gifted. They're gifted. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ignored.
So, they ignored, they neglected, so they fall within the cracks. And that's actually really sad because you miss out on these children. Of course, you are born gifted, you cannot make a child gifted. So you gifted for life, but that gift will lie dormant for the rest of their life if not identified. So what I'm suggesting here, and I hope someone out there, I've been doing this for many years, but I think I'm not powerful enough, no one listens. Start early, do something. Malaysia can really do very well in education. At least this small big start. I mean, the rest of the world is already doing it, so why are we behind?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ndebe. If no one takes it up, next year I'll join the political fray and I'll be the MP. Thank you very much.
As Prime Minister.
Yeah. No. Now quite difficult to do training and conference. Now let's go to Dr. Teh first, and then we go to Dato Freida with one link as the CEO going last. Yeah, go ahead, Doctor. Hopefully there's a pantun coming from you. Dasal pantun.
Okay, amateur take on the pantun. Bila kutip buah asam, kutip lebih, janganlah kurang. Bila bersama anak, kasihlah mereka lebih, janganlah kurang.
Wow. Is that the beauty of Malaysia or what? And principle of LaSalle. Go ahead, doctor. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. I on the aspect of teaching, the teaching profession, that's what I tell my teachers also. Yeah. When you teach the students, somehow your own children will be taken care of, you know. So that is the power of karma. Yeah. So buat lebih lah, lebih sikit pun tak apa. Jangan buat kurang. Yeah. So I will be ending my teaching service in another 2.5 weeks time. So
2.5 weeks. You must go on 25 years, not end. Start new.
Yes. So I will start the new milestone in my life. So whatever it is, I certainly hope that I will continue to contribute to the teaching profession. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teh. You know, now we're going to Dato Freida. Dato Freida never stops. She started. She's been doing this for 89 years.
Oh, wow.
Dato Freida is muted.
Yeah, Dato Freida has been doing.
Yes, next year we'll be celebrating 40 years.
I thought 90. She's useful. That's why we cannot figure out how long she's been in this. You know? And talk to her more, Dr. Teh. She will go on forever, inshallah. Dato, we need your final take on how to get our children going and how to get us going.
Yes, just now there was a mention about gifted children, but I feel that children are not gifted equally. We should have, I believe we should have a gifted program, not a gifted school, because some people are gifted in music, some in maths, and so on and so forth. So you need to hone that particular discipline rather than putting them in one school, you know, then you all, in the end, everybody gets the same treatment. That's about giftedness. And I think your IQ goes up and down, so you need to hone it and harness it. But another thing I would like to know about, I would like to mention about the recent budget. The recent budget says that they give us tax exemption of 3,000 or something like that for preschool children, you know. Now, I don't think that is, well, I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, but personally, I feel that why do you give tax exemption to people who can afford it? People who cannot afford it and people who've got special needs children, they need this. Now, they're not even in the taxable bracket. So there's no point in giving them tax exemption. You need to give them a voucher that they can use in any preschool that they like, or they can go to any, you know, any center that looks after special needs kids and so on and so forth, you know, for assessment and then for early intervention. So the voucher is more important and has a bigger impact than giving tax exemption, because people who can afford it, no need to give them tax exemption. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dato Freida. You know? That's a great idea, and we are now worried because it looks like, you know, if we don't have all these moves going, might be Dato Freida also joining a political fray, and that's it. You know? She will at least be a senior minister.
Well, I wish I am maybe 20 years younger than maybe, you know. Yeah.
You are young. You are always young, Dato.
But anyway, talking about politics, I think we need to teach in school, secondary school, political systems, not party politics, but teaching them about political systems and governance, and teaching them about how a government is, you know, like talking about the budget and so on and so forth, you know. I think and school, secondary school children should be taught this, at least global perspective or something like that, because at 18, they're going to vote.
Yeah.
So they should vote wisely.
I
I'm
would
just
say
I'm just very
yeah,
I'm just very
not
thankful, Prof. Yeah,
correct.
both Prof.
Not
that-
teach economics when they go to the university and then they do economics and then you teach them political economics. I agree with you, Dato Freida. It should be exposed at the lower
Yes.
even at the
Yes.
primary level. And then
Yes.
the,
Prof. Ami.
basic rudimentary,
Yes.
so that they understand what is it all about, what it entails. Start
Yes.
Right.
Prof. Ami,
yeah.
before I pass to one link, Prof. Ami.
Yeah, Dato Freida, I was saying earlier how bad the country is in at the moment. We need a better better parenting, better education, so that from the very young, children knows what is right, what is wrong.
Yes.
And
Yes.
not forever being duped into believing things
And the right is wrong and the
wrong.
wrong is right.
Yeah, yeah. It's
If
so
we
sad.
if we
It's
continue
very
this,
sad.
we will not finish at 2. Yeah. So first we have Miss Mastura joining, and I'm thankful my wife is not here, or else you will talk to Dato and ask where she got that baju from, and that will never end. Yeah. So before we go to one link, one final stop, one link. Yeah, Miss Mastura, you just joined us. Just tell us, hey, if you can tell the government, for example, what do you think they should do to help our children to be better?
Oh, that's gonna be so long.
Pick one that you think they should and can afford to do.
I think they are doing something right now, but everything that they are doing can be better. So just support each and every children with their own needs, and that's all vote for Dato Freida SPM.
She might be running, there's still time, be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
You never know.
Right. Thank you very, very much, all the panelists. It's been great having you, and thank you for spending all your time to be with us. It's for a good cause, but even if the cause is good, not many, unfortunately, are willing to join. Let's hope that this is not the one and only, but more of a start for us to have more of this, and perhaps publication, more series, so on and so forth. But let us hear the final talk, and of course, with at least 2 pantuns from the CEO of COF. One link, yeah? Chin One Link. Go ahead, One Link. You can do it in Mandarin, it's okay.
I would
We can
have to
understand you.
disappoint you with pantun, but I have to add on to what Prof. Amir was talking about. The right value, I guess, character building, it has to start from a very, very young age. Because, somehow when knowledge can be imparted, but character, attitude and character, if we don't build them early enough, that will be a big loss. Because to me, attitude is a little thing that make a big, big difference. So, if we can put it into the programs of our early childhood development, character building, because when I was in Japan, that was something that I realized that, wow, that is something that we should be doing. They really, we went to a primary school. The school kid, first thing that they do is they clean up the classroom. Everyone has to do, regardless of which level, which status you're from. And then they have a 45 minutes recess time. The teacher will actually teach them. They have duty roster that today you're on duty, you're supposed to serve your friend. So they'll go into the kitchen, push out the trolley, and the rest of the friend will lay out all their cutleries, their tablecloth, and everyone eat. And what amazed me is how they were taught to organize things. So the self-management, the discipline, even after they eat, they have to brush their teeth. The teacher are doing it, the teacher are showing the example, but the kids are actually being trained in a young age to serve, to have empathy, to be kind. So these are the values that I think is very important, because if you empathize for others, you will definitely, I think the school bullies thing will definitely be cut down, because everyone is talking about school bullies, it's quite scary now. Well, of course, I always teach my daughter, She's very tall. She's very, quite a big girl. Do not be a bully, but do not be bullied too. Because if not, it's just very alarming, because right now, even with her school, her friends is being bullied. And so I was just trying to make her stand out and teach.
Thank you.
Wow. Somehow I really felt that because we do not emphasize too much on the character side, that could be one big area that, when they are at the older age, it's difficult to mold. When we mold them younger, with love, with kindness, with empathy, these are the value, the value that they should have. Then once they become older, they become a habit to them. And I think with that, they love the community, they love the family, they love the community. I think this will eventually help us to have a better community and better nation. That's what I think.
Thank you very much, Wan
Something has to be
Ling.
done.
We know that we plan to have you to end, but we cannot allow all this wonderful saying to end before we listen to our Prime Minister designate, Dato Freida. You must have the last say. You must have the last say, Dato. Yeah?
Yes, I think what's important, I mean, we teach children in school all sorts of values, right? But parents must also have the same values. We must have the same values, because otherwise, whatever we teach in school, they will spoil it at home. I know in Japanese schools, it's always manners before knowledge, So parents at home must also have the same values. And then only the two, I always tell in a school, there's a triangle. The child is at the top, parents on one side and school on the other side. And both actually supports the child right at the top. So, I mean, if you're not aligned and have no rapport with parents, then it's of no use, and you're chasing the grades without real bringing up children, beautiful children, kind children, that sort of thing. I remember I went to it was like a forum a long time ago. You see, I started service as a diplomat in Wisma Putra, Foreign Affairs. And at that time, the Minister of Palestinian Affairs came, the foreign minister of Palestine came to Malaysia. And Tan Sri Said Hamid was then the host. And they were talking about all sorts of treaties, about peace treaty and so on and so forth. And there was a lot of Q&A. But I was the last one to speak. And I said, all of you can talk until the cows come home with all sorts of treaties. But the problem is this, I said, in school, we teach children to make friends. We even punish them if they fight. Then you all grow up and become politicians and make everybody fight.
Well, thank you, Dato, for that wonderful. That's a story of 30, 40 years ago, but still very, very relevant now. But before we stop for a while and take our photo together, I just like you to listen for a while. Hang on for a while. You listen. There's someone with us, God is with us because this is a good cause. And if God is with us, how could we lose? We just have to stay together, stay the course, and keep on fighting. The win will be with us battle by battle. Eventually, the war will be won. So, Marcus and Jackson, are we ready to have our photo? Our photo also must have children-like style to it. Everybody follow me. Hands up like this. Hands up like this. We're going to have our super Gaban photo. All right. 3. Hopefully someone is taking out a photo, or else all this style will go to nowhere. 3, 2, 1. Clap. Okay, we got the photo. So thank you very, very much. Of course, all panelists, all speakers are welcome for a similar session, God willing, next week. Same time, different, same day, but different date. Thank you very, very much again. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Share, Mkoi Sai, Mikanandri, Guten Tag. Oh, no. Afida Zain. Abad Deka Hobe. That's Bangladeshi. And I'll say it to you in Afrikaans. Ek gesleef vir jou. I love you all.
Wow. Okay, goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.